5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
The Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Well, the Super Bowl is officially over, which means it's draft season, baby.
Let's get it on.
It's mock draft season. That's right. Every time I hear this chime, I actually get PTSD as a Browns fan, and I think some of you Bengals fans can relate, right? We welcome you in. It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, and, of course, Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. We kick off the show today. ESPN's Todd McShay released his latest NFL mock draft, and although it may be a little underwhelming this year, a little boring, right? The Browns aren't in the top 10. The Bengals aren't in the top 10. In fact, the Cincinnati Bengals, I've never had to do this before, looking for a Bengals draft selection where I've had to, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It took me 6 swipes to get to the bottom of the draft order to get to where the Cincinnati Bengals are drafting. That is pretty damn impressive. The Cincinnati Bengals have the number 31 pick in this year's upcoming draft. You want to know who has the number 32 pick?
Oh,
it's a team that you're not used to seeing. No, the Detroit Lions, because of the golf trade.
Okay.
But very interesting with the one of the trades with the Rams, of course. But it's weird seeing that the Lions have the number 32 pick in the first round, but the Lions have a few first round picks on top of that. So again, we hit the chime, hit the quan, and we hit the NFL music as we are officially up and rolling here this afternoon. NFL mock draft season. Let's hit the ground running. No Bengals, no Browns in the top 10. We will get to those draft selections coming up here in just a moment. We'll also get to where the first Buckeye on the board lands. We'll see if there's a slight variance in this mock draft compared to what we saw from ESPN's Mel Kiper just 2.5 weeks ago. The 2021 NFL season, it's over. The Rams won Super Bowl 56 this past Sunday night, and the Rams don't currently have a first-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, dealing it away to help land quarterback Matthew Stafford, as we talked about, Kev. It will be the 6th straight draft in which they relax on day one. I didn't realize it had been that long.
That's a long time.
I knew it was a while. It's been a while since they've had a draft pick, but I didn't realize it had been 6 straight years since the Rams had made an official pick on draft night.
I'm trying to think. Jalen Ramsey got there 2 seasons ago. I know they gave up a first rounder for him. I'm trying to think who else they gave up a first rounder for.
I mean,
I'll do some Googles.
No, Ngakoue was a. I don't even know. Ngakoue, I don't even think he's with the Rams. Ngakoue's not with the Rams. Either they added a ton of pieces to that, but nonetheless, very interesting to keep in mind that the Rams have not had a first-round draft selection in 6 years now, and yet they just hoisted up the Super Bowl trophy, which is interesting because there's all this talk about whether Sean McVay will come back as the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams. I will be pretty disappointed in Sean McVay if he retires due to the crap storm that he has left the franchise. And if that's the case, I know people can say, well, I'll deal with the 5 years of dysfunction of them trying to unbury themselves from the cap hell that they are in and no draft picks to kind of help ease it up a bit. But we'll talk about that coming up here just around the corner. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. Kev, they have the number 1 overall pick. They took Trevor Lawrence with last year's number 1 overall pick. Which direction do you think they go in?
Offensive line.
I think that's
Evan Neal. Got to be.
Yeah, Evan Neal it is. Offensive tackle.
I do this.
Out of Alabama. With the first pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Evan Neal, offensive tackle out of Alabama. It's pretty smart. You have, of course, Trevor Lawrence. You need to protect him. Of course, they're going to have a lot of holes to fill, actually. Jacksonville going to be pretty busy. The Detroit Lions, they're up on the clock with the second pick in the 2002 NFL Draft. Mock draft, according to Todd McShay, McShay, which direction do you think that they go in?
This is easy. Got to be Hutchinson from Michigan, right?
2 for 2.
I do this.
The Detroit Lions with the number 2 pick select Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end out of Michigan, with the number 2 pick, according to Todd McShay. Now the Houston Texans are up, and this is where it gets interesting. They have a lot of holes on offense. They have a lot of holes on defense. They don't even know who their quarterback is. Do they go quarterback at number 3, Kev? Which direction do you think the Texans go in, according to ESPN's Todd McShay?
This is where I'm about to start getting them wrong.
No problem.
I would imagine they're going to go defense. So the next best defensive player is Thibodeau from Oregon. That's what I would think. You know, they drafted Mario Williams way back in the day. They went with Clowney back in the day. Those are the other times that they went high in the draft and picked defensive players. I just can't think of a guy off the top of my head that would go top 3 that isn't a quarterback. And there isn't a quarterback out there that's quote unquote top 3 worthy. I'm not sure a wide receiver is out there that's worthy enough. So I think you go on the opposite side of the ball and get a pass rusher.
So they are going defense, and they are going safety. Safety. Now,
Kyle Hamilton.
Todd McShay, yes, Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Todd McShay says the Texans can honestly go in a lot of different ways here. You know, they could take the NC State offensive tackle, and Akeem Ikwuanu, and they allowed 40 sacks this season. You want to know what's crazy is they allowed 40 sacks. That's actually the 11th most. I mean, a lot of teams need help at offensive line. It's pretty impressive as far as that's concerned. But again, they haven't replaced J.J. Watt. That could have been a direction they went, of course, with Thibodeau, as you talked about. But they're going to go Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame, according to Todd McShay.
Not bad.
The New York Jets, speaking of Akeem Ikwuanu, offensive tackle out of NC State, they're going to protect Zach Wilson or whoever the hell their quarterback is in the next 2 years. I mean, that's where they're going to go. But yes, when in doubt, I think, and I've always said this isn't just a Bengals thing. When you are picking this high in the draft, it's because you have a lot of needs. And when you have a lot of needs, you've got to prioritize those needs. And right now, if I'm the Jets, yes, you could look at maybe, adding weapons for Wilson. But you know what? Having weapons and not having anyone to protect your quarterback, it's pointless at this point. So I think the Jets need to go offensive line. That's what they do. Protect your quarterback. Yep. Even if you don't know who your quarterback is, you at least need to have an offensive line because you're located in New York. You're a free agent landing spot. If you have a good offensive line, that now puts you in position to make you a destination spot. If there's a quarterback in a disgruntled situation elsewhere, free agent quarterback, maybe a good rookie quarterback away from putting behind a good offensive line like this, I think this is smart of the Jets, and I do not say that often. Now, the other New York team is up. They go defense, Kev. They have the number 5 pick. Where do you think the Giants go as far as player-wise? It's not really that big of a surprise. Thibodeau it is. Defense.
Finally, I got it right.
The Giants have a lot of decisions that they need to that they're going to have to make, and I think they're going to have to start focusing on the defensive side of the ball first, mainly because what you have at quarterback. There's a lot of question marks about where they go as far as Saquon Barkley is concerned. We'll see what the Giants do. Sounds like they're going to take a page. I was going to say they take a page of the Bengals book, but they're going to do it the opposite of what the Bengals did. They're going to focus on the defensive side of the ball in the draft and spend a lot of their remaining cap space on the offensive side of the ball. I think there is a market to have a explosive offense in the NFC. If there is no explosive team offensively in the NFC right now, assuming that Green Bay is going to be without Aaron Rodgers next season. If Aaron Rodgers leaves, you have the Dallas Cowboys.
That's what I was going to say.
But that's a good offense. I don't know if I put it up there with the Chiefs or the Bengals or the Buffalo Bills of the world out of the AFC. It will be.
You think they're the second best offense in the NFC?
If Aaron Rodgers is with the Packers?
Yes.
The Seahawks, I don't respect. The Cardinals, though.
Yeah.
There's dysfunction there. But I'm going to say, no, I think that it's the Packers, it's the Cardinals, and then the Dallas Cowboys. But,
okay.
You don't know what the future holds for the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, and who knows how this stuff's going to shake out with Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. The Carolina Panthers are up next on ESPN Todd McShay's mock draft board. I like this. The Carolina Panthers with the number 6 pick. Who do you think they select? They do go defense. I'll give you that much. Little 5-1-3 flavor.
Oh, sauce?
Yeah, put some sauce on it. The Carolina Panthers, according to Todd McShay, will select Ahmad Sauce Gardner, the cornerback out of Cincinnati. Now, this was the most difficult pick for Todd McShay, he says. He goes, for one, the quarterback situation remains unresolved. The Panthers are financially invested in Sam Darnold, but it's apparent he isn't the long-term solution. Even so, number 6 is too rich for any of the signal callers in this class, and if Carolina is set on drafting one, a move back would be prudent. So if they were really desperate to get any of these quarterbacks, whether it be a Kenny Pickett from Pitt or whoever, they could trade back and still probably end up acquiring one of those quarterbacks. But I don't think you give up a talent like this to maybe go after a quarterback that has a late first round, second round grade as far as that's concerned. The Giants have the number 7 pick in a trade with the Bears, of course. Charles Cross, of course, they're going to draft offensive tackle out of Mississippi State. Falcons at number 8, Drake London, the wide receiver out of USC.
Big boy.
The Falcons are interesting because they're slowly starting to kind of load up offensive weapons. You know, if they could find a way to protect Matt Ryan, last year getting the number 1 tight end in the NFL draft, of course, and now you're going to have a chance. You know, they have Calvin Ridley. Whether or not he remains with the Falcons next year is still yet to be seen. But I think that they are in good position. If Matt Ryan has Kyle Pitts and they get a Drake London wide receiver out of USC, now all of a sudden they have a nice little young core nucleus outside of that. He does talk about how they could kick the tires on a Kenny Pickett because they don't view him as a guy that's going to come in and dominate the league right off the bat. It's not a Joe Burrow type. Kenny Pickett could, of course, benefit from sitting behind him at Ryan for a year, but he believes that they'll go Drake London with this number 8 pick.
That's not bad. And another thing I'm starting to notice, obviously, nobody thinks any of these quarterbacks are top 10 worthy, but we know somebody's going to jump into the top 10. I can't remember the last time an NFL draft, a quarterback didn't go in the top 10. These teams get desperate. Sometimes they end up ultimately reaching for quarterbacks, trying to have them be their savers and everything like that. I'm wondering which team is going to be out there making that reach pick. It could be the Falcons.
I don't like this draft. It's a dangerous draft. I think that teams really should take gambles and trade a lot of their first-round picks if they can. I don't think that this draft has a franchise-defining talent in it, but I think that for teams I honestly think that the teams further back in the draft are going to increase. They're going to improve their team more than the teams at the top of the draft, and usually that doesn't happen as much. So we'll see what ends up happening. I don't know where that came from. Holy smokes. Family. Sorry, yes, I'm trying to, preparing for the day when I take over the LSU program, apparently. Denver Broncos have the number 9 pick. Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah.
Like
that. Broncos about to load up offensively if they're able and fortunate enough to get Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So they're going to need some help. Not help. They have a great defense. Yeah. But adding him, look out.
Legit.
That would be a legitimate pick right there. Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback at LSU. He has him dropping to going number 10 to the New York Jets. And the Jets have that pick, of course, from a trade with Seattle.
Now think about it like this. Derek Stingley Jr. hasn't played consistent football since that national championship season. He's been out. He's been banged up. Now, a lot of people talked about that with Jamar Chase opting out of his junior year and everything like that to prepare for the NFL, and he helped the Cincinnati Bengals go on to the Super Bowl. I'm interested to see what the talking points about Derek Stingley Jr. are. Is there going to be like, all right, are these injuries that he sustained? Are they long-term injuries because he seems to, quote-unquote, get hurt a lot? Or, hey, man, he was just getting ready for the draft. So I want to hear those talking points on him.
The Jets are close. I got to pay attention to their cap space situation. But then they've loaded up on some really nice young talent on both sides of the ball. I think they start filling gaps with some free agents. The Jets could be closer than we think. I don't think that they're going to be the Bengals of 2023, being one of the worst first type situations. But you never know. With number 11, the Washington Commanders. How about that? The Washington Commanders have the number 11 pick. All right. And although, they do need a quarterback. They could trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. They could look at Jameis Winston. But according to ESPN's Todd McShay, Kenny Pickett is the quarterback that they are going to gamble on with that number 11 pick. I don't know how I feel about that. However, if I'm Washington with this, I know you want a quarterback. Mm-hmm. This is number 11 pick, and you're taking a chance on the quarterback at number 11 that if there was normal quarterback talent in the draft, I don't think he goes this high. You have Terry McLaurin. You have some good offensive weapons. I would go wide receiver right here if I'm Washington.
Antonio Gibson, good running back. Yes. And you look at their quarterback room already. They got Heineke in there. They got Fitzmagic that was with them last year and everything like that. It's just, I'm not saying Kenny Pickett is just another guy in the NFL, but like, I don't know if he's top 10 or top 15 caliber quarterback. Like, I just don't view any of these quarterbacks at that level that they can come in and make a splash impact on your team. Like, I don't think you have the luxury of doing that. You know, the 49ers had the luxury of drafting or even trading up to get Trey Lance because they had Jimmy Garoppolo. I may not like Jimmy G. I may not think Jimmy G's like a baller in this league, but he's still a starting caliber quarterback. I'm not sure that the Commanders have a starting caliber quarterback on their roster. You know what I'm saying? With Fitzmagic, he was hurt last year. Now, Fitzmagic, he didn't play for almost every single team in the NFL, and he's always seeming to win like 5 straight games and then lose 5 straight games because he gets the turnover bug and everything like that. So they got to fix the quarterback room, and probably the easiest fix would be to drop a bag and bring in a free agent quarterback.
Yeah, and it could be Jimmy Garoppolo. Jameis Winston still makes a lot of sense to me, and I still think Jameis, unless Tampa can hit a home run as far as, maybe getting in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes or what have you, I think that Tampa I think we could see a reuniting of Jameis Winston back in Tampa. We'll see. But Jimmy Garoppolo could be a guy that they kick the tires on ultimately. Not bad. Look, they had success with Alex Smith, who was a very similar type quarterback. Because Alex Smith and Garoppolo very similar. They just win. They're quarterbacks that you never feel like, okay, we're guaranteed to win the Super Bowl because we have this guy, but you feel like you have a shot if enough players step up and enough good things happen, you can get there with those guys. And Garoppolo has proven that on previous teams. So who knows? But I think Kenny Pickett is the wrong pick for the Commanders here. I would go wide receiver. I would go with another offensive weapon, because then when you really go and hone in hard on another quarterback in next year's draft or in the free agent market, now you have offensive weapons everywhere. Who knows? Aaron Rodgers could look at Washington and say, I like all the weapons that they have there, and I like that defense. Washington you're not going to hear that name for Aaron Rodgers, but why not? Especially if they have a lot of offensive weapons. We'll see what ends up happening with that pick as far as that's concerned. Number 12, the Minnesota Vikings, Trent McDuffie, the cornerback out of Washington. As far as that, we know how explosive they are offensively. I'm surprised they're not going offensive line. That's still an area of need for the Vikings. When you have obviously Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, you have Dalvin Cook, you have Cousins, you have an offensive-minded head coach coming in now. He was just announced as head coach earlier on this afternoon. If I'm Minnesota, I would have gone offensive line here, but obviously you can't go wrong with the good cornerback out of Washington. And now that brings up the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have the number 13 pick. This is their first pick of the first round, and it'll be the first time that we hear a Buckeyes name be called. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State, is going number 13 to the Cleveland Browns, according to ESPN's Todd McShay in his latest mock draft. Whether or not Baker Mayfield is still the Browns quarterback for the Browns, which I thought that was an interesting line within the little excerpt here. The offense is begging for some pass catchers. Donovan Peoples-Jones led the team with, I think, just a hair under 600 yards this past season. Jarvis Landry's turning 30 next year. He does have 1 year left on that deal. There is belief that the Browns, he'll come back for 1 more year and call it a career, at least in Cleveland for that matter. So we'll see what goes on there. David Njoku, for every 5 great plays he makes, he has 6 drops to kind of neutralize it. I mean, it's really hard to kind of buy into him at the tight end as far as a consistent playmaker. We'll see what ends up happening. And of course, Rashard Higgins, another interesting Hollywood. He's a free agent, but we've seen the success he has had with Baker Mayfield at times. We'll see. But Garrett Wilson seems to be the popular pick here. I think Buckeye fans are excited about that. I still like we're doing this correctly. Are we going to take credit for him too? I like the Alabama wide receiver. I do. I know he got hurt. I know that could be a thing, but honestly, if he doesn't get hurt, Jameson, that's the best wide receiver in this draft. So if we've seen injuries not scare off teams from guys in the past, and they come in and have success. I'm just real curious to see what ends up happening as far as that goes. Your thoughts on Garrett Wilson to Cleveland?
Definitely a deep threat for them. Great hands. Obviously played at Ohio State, so it's not going to be a situation where he has to get acclimated to different type of weather or anything like that, coming down the home stretch and everything like that. They definitely need pass catchers on the outside. Something I will say, and it's something to be said about 5'10", 6-foot wide receivers playing in Cleveland. You have one with OBJ who's a speed receiver. That's exactly what Garrett Wilson is. He's more of a speed receiver. I would prefer, if I'm a Cleveland Browns, a big body receiver, like one of those guys that can go jump ball it, you know what I'm saying? Pinpoint the ball and everything. Kind of, they use Njoku like that, but Njoku has, you know what I'm saying, average hands at best. But he's their best weapon because he's so athletic and everything like that. And Lord knows you can't depend on Austin Hooper to catch a pass. So they're throwing the tight passes to Njoku. So, like, body type wise, I would like a bigger physical receiver if I'm the Cleveland Browns. Maybe you get one of those guys in the second round. But, you know, wide receiver is almost definitely the pick for the Browns.
All right, we will continue with more NFL draft, mock draft conversation on the other side. If you're just tuning in, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, and of course, Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. ESPN's Todd McShay just released his latest mock draft. We heard from Mel Kiper 2 weeks ago. It's Todd McShay's turn. We've given you picks 1 through 13. Well, we'll start at number 14, and that will be with the Baltimore Ravens. And we're going to go, of course, all the way up to the Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh has a couple picks coming up here in this first round as well. How that impacts the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, and more. We'll get to all of that. Plus, will we see another Buckeye go in the first round? We might see 2. Todd McShay, a very interesting second mock draft that he released earlier this afternoon. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Pro Football Hall of Famer and 3-time champion.
Pro Football's all-time leading rusher Emmitt Smith talks about joint pain.
Trust me, I know about joint pain. Sure, I made it look easy, but if my body could speak, it would say, I'm in pain.
Are you living with chronic joint pain? Knees, hips, lower back, shoulders? Don't just assume the old treatments are the only treatments.
I've gone under the knife to get rid of pain, but now there are options, and you need to check them out.
Emmitt's talking about QC Kinetics, exciting new natural biologic therapies that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. New options now available here.
You can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics.
Real relief with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics for regenerative restorative treatments with lasting relief.
But now, you and I, we have help. QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. QC Kinetics, 936-0325.
Make this the winter of you with Audible. Listen to the latest thrillers, motivation, wellness, and more with podcasts, audiobooks, and originals all in one app. Sign up and start free at audible.com.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm the girl from that alien movie you watch on demand. Our worlds have been brought together thanks to DirecTV Stream.
Why are you whispering?
Because the alien will hear us.
Maybe let the alien know you can get DirecTV Stream with no annual contract.
He seems pretty excited by that, actually.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at DirecTV.com.
Requires high-speed internet and compatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
My leg was painful, red, and swollen just doing the crossword puzzle. I could have put off telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
He told his doctor and found out his leg pain, swelling, and redness are deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to the lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. If you have one or more of these symptoms, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Veterans, were you exposed to harmful burn pit smoke while serving overseas? The Department of Veterans Affairs has recognized and is providing benefits to veterans who suffer with asthma, rhinitis, and sinusitis as a result of burn pit exposure. If you served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Operations or Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Syria, or Djibouti and suffer from any respiratory illnesses that you believe is a result of exposure to burn pits, contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
When your roommate borrows your car every day, it might be a blind spot. Even having people over to jump around on your trampoline. Yep, it also might be a blind spot. Blind spots are all the surprising things that might need more coverage that you weren't aware of. Good thing Allstate agents can help you find those blind spots while watching out for your wallet.
Call me, Dave Mowdy, at 325-2474. That's 325-2474. Right across the street from Frisch's on East Main Street in Springfield. Based on coverage selected, savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, recipient of Honda's President's Award. When your vehicle needs service, we make it convenient. Open 6 days a week, including all day Saturday. We also welcome same-day appointments and walk-ins as well. Our technicians are factory trained, and we offer a new state-of-the-art facility, clean waiting rooms, loaner cars, and free alignment checks as well. Ask for the $99.95 alignment special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675. Between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Sponsored by BioNTech and Pfizer.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash is live on Facebook. Head to Facebook and search The Justin Kinner Show. Like and subscribe, and I'll be a part of the show each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Excited to be back with you here this afternoon. Picking up right where we left off, NFL mock draft. ESPN's Todd McShay just released the second mock draft of the season. That is kind of the bittersweet thing of the Super Bowl come to an end. It's bittersweet because the season's over, but, at the same time, I'm also like, mock draft season's fun. It's just not as exciting now, because the Browns are, I know they didn't make the playoffs this year. A lot of things worked against them, but it's still a team that's not constructed to be picking in the top 5 or the top 10. The Bengals finally are out of the top 10. They're not even in the top 20. They're not even in the top 25. They're in the top 31 now. So they're not even in the top 30. They're not even in the top 30. That's what kind of year it has been. But picking up right where we left off, we pick up with pick number 13, of course, or the Cleveland Browns had the number 13 pick. They selected, as we talked about, the first Buckeye to go off the board, Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State. The Browns will most likely have Jarvis Landry back next season unless, a dramatic trade happens this coming up off season. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he led the team with only 597 receiving yards. The Cincinnati Bengals have close to 3 1,000-yard wide receivers. And, we just watched Donovan Peoples-Jones, not Jarvis Landry, lead the team in receiving yards with 597. Yeah, that's a problem. That's definitely an area of need for the Cleveland Browns. But at number 14, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and I know that this one will upset you knowing some of the needs that your team has. Tyler Linderbaum.
No!
The center out of Iowa, according to Todd McShay, going number 14 to the Baltimore Ravens.
Damn it. I knew they were going to go offensive line. I was thinking they would go tackle. Whoever the best or the second best tackle on the board is. That's what I would figure they would do because they have Andre Villanueva at one tackle, and, they let Orlando Brown go to Kansas City last season. So I would figure that they would bolster up that side and get another tackle. But no, they're going to go with the center, and that's somebody I desperately wanted with my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers.
So, yes, picking up right where we left off and rolling here today, the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Again, ESPN's Todd McShay mock draft, his second one of the season, is officially out, and we are off and rolling. So we left off, again, just recapping, the Cleveland Browns taking Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State at 13. Kev upset Baltimore Ravens at number 14, taking the center out of Iowa and Tyler Linderbaum. Again, the Ravens went 8-9 last season, but they were ravaged by injuries. You hear that, Bengals fans? They were ravaged by injuries and are set up for a bounce-back year. A key to getting back on track will be protecting Lamar Jackson, of course, who missed 5 games last season, and, of course, opening more lanes for the run game that does not involve their quarterback in Lamar Jackson, getting J.K. Dobbins back involved, who, of course, missed all of last season with an unfortunate, preseason injury. He's going to return from a torn ACL. But tackle is the big question mark on that offensive line. Ronnie Stanley missing 26 regular season games over the last 2 years.
That just paid him big money, too.
You talk about Alejandro Villanueva. He turns 34 in September. Maybe, Northern Iowa's, Trevor Penning could be the pick as well. I mean, if you look at that. But it's an area of need, center, and of course, at guard. So we're going to see what the Ravens do. But he believes they'll take the center out of Iowa at number 14. At number 15, the Eagles are up, and they have this pick from the Miami Dolphins. Nakobe Dean, the linebacker out of Georgia. Georgia had a couple players, just a few. But Philadelphia, of course, the big question mark there. They have Jalen Hurts, a quarterback. They were able to get a couple nice pieces on offense. They made the playoffs this year. Somehow they made the playoffs. But they're going to have to find more weapons on the defensive side of the ball, and then they have a lot of holes to fill. That's where they're at. So the Philadelphia Eagles have back-to-back first-round picks.
Wow.
They have number 15 and number 16. They had the 15 pick from Miami, and they also had the 16th pick from the Colts. So they take Nakobe Dean, inside linebacker out of Georgia, with the number 15 pick. But according to Todd McShay, they're going to stay on the defensive side of the ball.
Wow.
And they're going to stay in Georgia.
Wow.
They will take back-to-back Georgia players with back-to-back picks at 15 and 16. Nakobe Dean, inside linebacker out of Georgia at 15. And at 16, they will take Trayvon Walker, the defensive end out of Georgia. Philadelphia becomes instantaneously better.
Yes.
By adding those two. Those are instant starters in the NFL, and the Eagles are definitely going to ramp up, and they're going to need it. The Dallas Cowboys, say what you will about, the run game for them is kind of interesting. Obviously Zeke Elliott's not as strong as he used to be or as explosive, but they still have a very good run game. Dak Prescott's still a top 10 quarterback. From an offensive standpoint, still very explosive with Cooper and Gallup and company. So keep in mind CeeDee Lamb. Cowboys are deep at on offense. The Eagles going all defense with these first couple picks. I think that's a smart strategy. Love the Eagles' approach to how that works. So if we, and this is, of course, coming from Todd McShay, he goes, if we get to this point and all but one of the quarterbacks are still on the board, the Steelers have to be on the phone with Chargers general manager Tom Telesco. The Saints are lurking there at number 18, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, they know it has to make a move to get its guy before New Orleans is on the clock. Los Angeles, meanwhile, knows that a 3-pick slide to number 20 doesn't impact its draft hardly at all. The Steelers would go quarterback, and the Saints could follow suit. That means the Chargers Chargers would, in all likelihood, get the same player at number 20 that they would have gotten at number 17, plus they'd get another pick or two. In this case, he thinks a third rounder will be traded by the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Chargers, so that the Pittsburgh Steelers can get Malik Willis, the quarterback, out of Liberty at number 17. So you don't get your center, but you might get your centerpiece. The Steelers are known for they go through little lulls here and there, but they always get their guy. Could Malik Willis be their guy? Do you like that as a Steelers fan, taking Malik Willis, the quarterback, out of Liberty at pick number 17, Kev?
I don't like trading up for it. I would prefer, if they're going to take a quarterback, you stand pat and get Matt Corral, or I would have stood pat and got Jordan Davis, the defensive tackle from Georgia, because now you can put over Cam Hayward, you can put him back over the defensive end instead of having him play in the middle. Like, yes, from normal people's eyes, Cameron Hayward is a huge human being, but Jordan Davis is like a mountain. And when you play that 3-4, you need somebody in there to gobble up blocks so your linebackers can make plays and everything like that. And that was one of the biggest reasons why they weren't a good run defense last year. So I would prefer, since they're not going to get the center out of Iowa, for them to go Jordan Davis, then Matt Corral. In that order, that would have been my preference. But trading up, I really don't like trading up.
And good for the Steelers, by the way, if it ends up panning out that way. Good for the Chargers, but I agree with you. Again, it's not a quarterback you trade up for. A third rounder, when you're a team like Pittsburgh, you can get good quality. Picks or draft rounds 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
You don't give those up lightly.
Yes.
And I definitely don't give it up for Malik Willis. I'm sorry. But Pittsburgh is always going to be like, here's the problem.
I'm not trading up for anybody in this draft, for any quarterback in this draft, right?
Your coach is the problem. Because your coach doesn't know how to have losing seasons, which means Pittsburgh will never be in a position to, so I'm saying, this isn't the draft that has good enough quarterbacks to do this, but Pittsburgh's always going to be in this scenario, Kev. They're never going to be picking high enough to get a big-time quality quarterback off the board. They're always going to have to take chances like this.
Right.
Because Mike Tomlin just doesn't lose. Even with bad rosters, he doesn't lose. So you're always going to be hovering around that 8-9 or 9-8 mark on a bad year for your team, of course, because, whatever. But you know what I mean? So it's like, I get this. Like, in their eyes, it's like, well, it's never going to get better. It's not better, but they're never going to consistently be in a position to get a top quality quarterback. They're always going to be taking a chance on someone at this level. It's somewhat
right.
I don't know. It's very interesting. But
What number was that?
That was number 17.
So, okay.
So they're trading up to get that. But at number 18, that's where Matt Corral will fall to the New Orleans Saints.
Right. I like that for him. I like Matt Corral. I like him best out of all the quarterbacks in this draft. I would probably go Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, then Malik, in that order, and then probably Sam Howell. But I don't think any of those guys are game changers and guys that you're going to expect to come in and be putting up Joe Burrow and Hubbard type of numbers and type of action from those guys. I just don't think that they're that quality of quarterback. None of these dudes. Now watch, all three of them be Hall of Famers.
And by the way, and that's how this will work. That's how this whole thing will work out, because we're saying that you're not, this is it's a weak quarterback room going on right now, but it will be interesting to see what ends up happening with this.
And then when they get their gold jackets in Canton, they'll be like, I remember when I was drafted, some idiot in Dayton, Ohio, some dude named Kev Nash said none of us will be here. Look at us. All three of us are here.
Well, the good news is that nobody listens to this show, so we don't have to worry about that at all. All right, so with that, and of course, of all times for our internet to just start, taking a big old whatever you want to fill in the blank here. All right, so we're back up and rolling now. So with that being said, the New Orleans Saints, number 18, take Matt Corral, a quarterback out of Ole Miss. Number 19, the Philadelphia Eagles. My goodness, 3 first-round picks. They went back-to-back defensive players out of Georgia with picks 15 and 16. Pick number 19, they take Treylon Burks, the wide receiver out of Arkansas.
Big boy.
That's, you look at, they got one of the Heisman winning wide receiver last year out of Alabama in the first round to pair with Jalen Hurts. Now you give him Treylon Burks. Now you have those 2 big studs on the defensive side of the ball. The Eagles are quietly putting this together. This really all comes down to what kind of jump Jalen Hurts makes from one season to the next. I think think that if he takes a big enough leap from an improvement standpoint, the Eagles could be one of the top teams in the NFC. For one, it's not a very deep NFC. It's not going to take much to be one of the top teams in the NFC. But at the same time, I think that they're laying down a very good nucleus of core young players if this is actually the route that they go, according to Todd McShay. Jordan Davis, another star defensive player out of Georgia, defensive tackle, going number 20 to the Chargers. And this was, of course, this is the player that they wanted. You know, if Pittsburgh doesn't trade up, according to Todd McShay, 3 straight defensive players would have gone from 15, 16, or 16, 17, and 18. 3 straight Georgia players from the defensive side of the ball would have gone off Todd McShay's first-round mock draft board if it wasn't for his trade that Pittsburgh moving up to get, of course, their quarterback and Malik Willis there. But then it would have been 4 straight, Georgia players if that's the case. So it would have been interesting to see how that would have panned out. I like that, though, for the Chargers, who already have Joey Bosa.
Right. And watch how much of a jump that defense takes when you have a defensive tackle that you have to block with like 3 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Bosa is going to put up crazy numbers. If you thought that Derwin James was roaming all over the field before, watch what he's going to be able to do next year if they draft him. Because a guy that size and that can move the way he does, you have to put so much attention on him. So it leaves dudes one-on-one. It brings dudes like Derwin James in the box that can blitz and just cause all types of havoc, because you have to account for a dude that weighs almost 400 pounds that can move like that. So I love Jordan Davis for them.
New England Patriots at number 21, taking Kyler Gordon, the cornerback out of Washington. The Las Vegas Raiders, they are up at number 22, and with the number 22 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, we have our second Buckeye off the board. How about that? Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State. According to Todd McShay, he says this is a no-brainer. Olave is a polished route runner. He's fast with great explosion off the line. His ball skills are excellent, and his production speaks for itself. Olave found the end zone in 9 of 11 games this last season. Hunter Renfrow had a great season for Las Vegas, but tight end Darren Waller struggled to stay healthy, and receiver Zay Jones is now a free agent. If the Raiders want to stay in stride with the other AFC West offenses, especially if Denver finds a way to get Aaron Rodgers, then they have to get quarterback Derek Carr a better supporting cast and their first-round draft success back on track. And again, with the incident with Ruggs,
right,
and everything that happened with Gruden last year, the Raiders, found themselves in the playoffs, had a chance to beat the Bengals on that final, drive, or at least force overtime. And who knows what would have happened at that point. Their defense is good enough. They have just enough players, playmakers on offense, but I think they need more. Chris Olave could potentially be that guy for the Raiders. Interesting pick right there for the Raiders. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You talked about the situation with Ruggs. You fill that gap with Olave. Perfect fit.
All right, up next from number 22, the Las Vegas Raiders take Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Number 23, the Arizona Cardinals, Jermaine Johnson, defensive end out of Florida State.
Yes, sir. Everything that's going on with Jones, him being a free agent, he might be walking to go get that bag. You insert another dude that can rush off the edge and cause havoc.
Yeah, again, he goes on to talk about, bullet pointing some of those issues you talked about. Look, they have impact players headed toward free agency all over the place. One of the biggest, as you just mentioned, Chandler Jones, coupled with the fact that J.J. Watt's going to be 33 years old. He's coming off his shoulder surgery.
Another one.
J.J. Watt, 4 straight seasons, has not finished the season due to injury. 4 straight dominant seasons,
right?
4 straight seasons where he would be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, along with his brother now, T.J. Watt. But 4 straight seasons where he has not been healthy enough to finish. I mean, that's bad. That's not bad like he's bad. That's just unfortunate. You can't count on that. I do like the Jermaine Johnson defensive end pick out of Florida State at number 23 for the Arizona Cardinals.
Who did they get in the draft like 2 years ago? Arizona linebacker, Clemson. Isaiah Simmons. He hasn't panned out yet. Like, I know he wasn't expected to be like an edge rusher, but he was supposed to be one of those guys that cause a ton of havoc and be able to cover the slot and everything like that. He hasn't splashed like they expected him to. Matter of fact, Micah Parsons, he splashed because he was rushing off the edge a ton, and they weren't expecting him to be like a dude that get after the passer like that. But his athletic ability, they said, why not? And not only does he cover tight ends and running backs out the backfield, but he blitzes off the edge. That's what they were expecting Isaiah Simmons to do for them, and he just hasn't done that. He's just been basically almost like a slot corner at that size, so he's going to have to step it up for them.
Yeah, so coming up next at number 24, the Dallas Cowboys. You just mentioned Micah Parsons. Of course, they took Micah Parsons last April, but of course the linebacker was forced more to an edge rusher role, as you talked about, due to injuries for the Cowboys. But the question for Dallas is whether or not it wants to, predominantly play him going forward. And according to Todd McShay, he goes, in my eyes, the key is to answer that question and then focus on the other area, freeing up Parsons to be even more dominant. Again, that wasn't even supposed to be his role.
Right.
In fact, the injuries for the Cowboys actually, I think, made Micah Parsons an even better defensive player than what they had anticipated because they didn't use him in the role that they had planned.
Right.
So they have a decision to make here that could be interesting. At the number 24 pick, Todd McShay has the Dallas Cowboys taking defensive end out of Michigan, David Ojabo. But by taking him, you would want him to get the majority of those pass rushes, which could take some of those opportunities away from Micah Parsons, which means you make him less effective, or you have to find out if he could be just as effective in other areas of his game. So the Cowboys have a decision to make here. We know how talented they are offensively. This is just about continuing to add dominant defensive pieces to that side of the ball. Cowboys are close. I think it's going to come down to this side of the ball right here. We'll see what ends up happening. But Parsons had 13 sacks last year. Randy Gregory had 6. Durain Armstrong 5. They were the only other Dallas Cowboy players to have at least 4, and both are free agents. So there's going to be opportunities for pass rushers for the Dallas Cowboys. That's for sure.
So my question for you, since you're also a Dallas Cowboys fan, and we do a ton of offensive line talk on this show because of the Cincinnati Bengals struggles at the offensive line position, that offensive line for the Cowboys has deteriorated year after year because, when they were in their primes, like the Zach Martins and things of that nature, they were younger. That was like 4 or 5 years ago and everything like that. Zeke is the poster child for like, all right, man, like the deterioration, and he's not as good as he was. But that offensive line is either. Would you want them to go get like a dude from Ole Miss? I think it's from Mississippi or Ole Miss, the offensive tackle. I think his last name is Cross. Would you want them to go get somebody out there to replenish the offensive line, or do you think they need more defensive weapons?
Well, for me, I think really what it comes down to right now, you just had obviously Dak Prescott throw for 4,500 yards, 30+ touchdowns. You had a two-headed monster in your run game. You had close to 2,000-yard running backs. Obviously, you would, of course, love to beef that up a bit, but the offensive line wasn't the problem last year. It was clock management. So unless there's a better head coach in the first round, availability, I don't know. But of course, yes, if there's a chance to beef up your offensive line, that's where you always go. But I do believe that the Cowboys are good enough at offensive line. They're not great, but they're not giving up 70 sacks for their quarterback and having their dumb head coach try to brag about, well, they're good enough to get us to a Super Bowl. We're going to talk about that coming up here around the corner. Don't set me up for that one. Oof. Just when I was starting to like him, he has to say silly things, but we'll get to that. Buffalo Bills come up at number 25. They select cornerback out of Clemson, Andrew Booth Jr. And I'd say that that's a smart thing to do. Seeing as your quarterback threw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and you still had to sit at home while they have the third best quarterback in the National Football League, and he had to sit home and watch a guy throw for just a little over 200 and be told that he's the best quarterback in the AFC now because he lost a Super Bowl. I mean, my goodness, the Buffalo Bills have to load up on the defensive side of the ball this offseason. They're set offensively. Yes, if you can add a running back and help improve the run game, which they did. The run game actually was pretty damn impressive considering how poor it's been. This is all about defense and going the cornerback right out of Clemson with Andrew Booth Jr. I think that's a good start for Buffalo. They really have to focus on the defensive side of the ball with their draft picks just coming up.
Absolutely. With the Cowboys getting Ojabo, that's who I would figure they would get, or Jermaine Johnson, another dude off the edge that caused some havoc to get some strip sacks and everything like that. But a corner, you can never go wrong with a corner with this league nowadays where dudes out here running 3 wides and receivers all over the place and everything like that. So you need as many DBs as possible.
All right, up next on the clock, the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, boy.
And George Karlaftis, defensive end out of Purdue.
Not familiar, but okay.
Tennessee Titans going more defense. Look.
Is defense the problem? Defensive line the problem? They're one of the best defensive lines in the league.
Well, they don't face the Bengals every single week. So
True that.
If they can get to averaging 9 sacks a week, I think that's what they're trying to. They said, hey, that sacking that quarterback 9 times is pretty fun. Let's go ahead and try to do that every week. But I can't imagine Tennessee that they're going to let Harold Landry III walk after a 12-sack season.
They're going to pay big money.
But he could break the bank, though. So
True.
This sounds like what it is heading into the season. If they go and they select a guy like this, and if they opt not to break the bank to keep it, they're going to have this guy kind of waiting in the vault too at the same time. It's going to be interesting. Tennessee also took 47 sacks. Though, and a good chunk of the offensive line will be playing 2022 on the final year of their deal. So he's talking about the fact that they should be looking at offensive line here as well. They let Conklin go a few years ago. That cost them dearly. Then they had to beef it back up again, and then they're back at, being elite, even without Derrick Henry for the majority of this past season. And they were the 1 seed out of the AFC. And you have your quarterback's Ryan Tannehill, and you're the 1 seed in a conference that has the Joe Burrows and the Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens, and yes, the Baker Mayfield. I'm joking, but you see what I'm saying. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up next, Kev. They take wide receiver Jameson Williams out of Alabama at number 27.
Speed.
He will be better than Garrett Wilson in the NFL. I think the Browns are making a mistake taking Garrett Wilson. That's my concern. Buckeye fans will disagree with me on this. I like the build of Jameson Williams better. The only reason he's dropping this far, and they go as far to say so in this, is because of that injury. That he would be the first wide receiver taken off the board if it wasn't for this injury. I think that's a big, major overreaction. How is this any different if you draft a wide receiver in his rookie season and he goes down, and then he comes back his second year and balls out? I think it's an overreaction to this. I like Jameson Williams. I think he has a better build. I thought with Garrett Wilson, I just think it's stemming from one of those. Everything I could say about him, I could say about Jameson Williams. You're playing in a system that, of course, is going to feed you the ball heavily. But I don't know. There's just something about Jameson Williams that I like more. I like his athleticism more. I just think he looks the part, and I believe he demands more of the attention away. Garrett Wilson, I'm really curious to see if that ends up panning out in Cleveland. But that could be, if he doesn't pan out, that could be the big debate about was it him or was it Baker Mayfield? That's going to be the big
back
thing.
On the table, eh?
But look, Tom Brady's gone. Tampa Bay, they seem like one of those quarterback-needy teams that's going to go the veteran route. I still think they can go. Look, I think they drafted they got Kyle Trask last year, right? They had Kyle Trask last year, drafted. They're not going to roll with him. You have a Super Bowl caliber roster. There's no Tom Brady's out there. You go get Jameson Williams, who ESPN's 30 for 30. If he throws 15 interceptions instead of 30 interceptions that season, they're a double-digit win team in the postseason. So that's why I'm like, I think you could bring Jameis Winston back, have a playmaker like Jameson Williams. You have Godwin, who's of course rumored to be re-signing with the team. Now that you don't have Tom Brady, you got the money to do so. I like Jameson Williams at number 27. I think he's dropping too far. I would prefer him over Garrett Wilson, in my opinion.
The one thing, the opposite side of that argument is Garrett Wilson outperformed Jameson Williams 2 out of 3 seasons that they both were in college. He was a starter over him 2 of the seasons that they played together at Ohio State. And I think that Jameson Williams definitely showed me a lot in that game versus the Bearcats going up against Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant. He showed me that he wasn't just the deep threat guy. He showed me that he could run slants, he could run square ends and take big hits across the middle and things of that nature. So he definitely showed me that. But for the majority of his career, run real fast and get deep. I think that Garrett Wilson runs a better route tree than Jameson Williams at this point from what I've seen, in the games and everything like that. But, I don't dislike the pick. I do worry about the knee, but shoot, OBJ, he came back and balled out in the playoffs and blew out again, and I'm sure he'll come back again and ball out. So ACL injuries aren't what they used to be.
The other problem, too, it doesn't sound like, according to reports, he will not start the season on time. That is one of the concerns. All right, we'll round this one out quick. The Green Bay Packers take Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle out of Georgia. I mean, Georgia is just eating this first round, and rightfully so. There's a reason they were a championship or bust program this past year, and they're showing why right here. I mean, my goodness, Green Bay Packers going the defensive route again. Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle out of Georgia at number 28. At number 29, the Miami Dolphins will take, I think the guy McShay. You're talking about the Trevor Penning, offensive tackle out of Northern Iowa. For as much heat as the Bengals get for not protecting their franchise quarterback, the Dolphins are about as poor as the Bengals as far as protecting their quarterback, and they have to focus. Even if they don't look at Tua as a locked-in franchise long-term quarterback, whoever it is, they have to have some solutions to protect whoever it is behind center. As far as that's concerned, Trevor Penning makes a lot of sense for the Dolphins at number 29. At number 30, the Kansas City Chiefs. They will go Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State. There's going to be a lot of big question marks about who the weapons are for Patrick Mahomes moving forward, and this is really where the Chiefs are going to have to start proving that they are a top franchise. It's easy, Bengals, to look like a top franchise when your quarterback's on a rookie deal and you could just go spend money anywhere you want. And all that. Can you start hitting later in the draft? Can the Chiefs create another wide receiver superstar here this late in the draft by taking Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State? Kansas City could fixate on defense, considering it allowed about 6 yards per play this past season, which is, they ranked 30th, by the way. It's horrible. The pass rush needs attention, and Penn State defensive end, I think his name is Arnold Ebedike, would fit the bill here. But I think right now you have to make sure you continue to give Patrick Mahomes weapons, because the defense, you have cap space, you can fill some of those holes in. It'll be interesting to see where they go. Number 31, the Cincinnati Bengals. Like there was any other option. Offensive tackle out of Central Michigan, Bernard Raymond. Do we even need to explain this one? Cincinnati allowed 55 sacks, which was the third most, and then it took 19 more across 4 playoff games. Its 50% pass block win rate was 30th in the National Football League. The season ultimately ended on pressure as Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald got to quarterback Joe Burrow on the Bengals' final offensive play of the Super Bowl. Burrow is one of the best young passers in the game, and Cincinnati must, and there's 3 musts in here, clean up the offensive line to keep him healthy and let him operate the offense with more ease. Raymond has a powerful upper body and shuts down pass rushers when he gets his hands inside. That's going to be key. And a quarterback going at number 32 to the Detroit Lions with the number 32 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. ESPN's Todd McShay has the Detroit Lions taking the quarterback out of North Carolina, Sam Howell. They took Aiden Hutchinson in the first pick of the day. Now they're having him take Sam Howell. I don't like that. I don't know. Going to come in, develop him. I don't know.
Playmaker.
Take a chance on a quarterback later. Goff isn't great, but he's not bad. Give him weapons. Take a wide receiver here. Go give him something. Give him a tight end. Give him something. But I don't like going Sam Howell. Sam Howell doesn't make you better next year. And
because they still got to pay Jared Goff.
So that's why I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense. This pick signifies you're not even trying to win next year either. That's why I don't like it. And that wraps up Todd McShay's mock draft. All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Hour number 2 coming up next. 518-1410. 518-1410. We'll take your calls on the other side. What do you think? Browns and Bengals fans. Bengals fans, this is going to be a very boring draft for you. Bernard Raymond, offensive tackle to Central Michigan. The only thing I don't like about it is I don't really care about rookie offensive linemen right now. You have money. Go get guys that can block for you right now. You're still putting the future of your franchise quarterback at risk by putting him behind a rookie offensive lineman. If you didn't have cap space and this was your only route, of course you go this route. But when you have the cap space, I would love to not hear as many offensive linemen be taken in this draft because they did the right thing, the responsible thing, and spent every available dime on protecting Joe Burrow. That's all. But we'll see. Hour 2 next.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Weather brought to you by Cullet Propane, keeping utilities simple and families warm since 1952. See how and more at culletpropane.com.
Do you have taxiety, that uncertain feeling before doing your taxes? Filing on your own or choosing the wrong partner can be stressful. Connect with Liberty Tax and then just breathe in and cash out.
Get $50 by filing before February 20th.
Go ahead, feel it.
Visit StopTaxiety.com to schedule your appointment and say farewell to the stress of tax season. Liberty Tax. Let's end taxiety. At participating locations, terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
We've got a party of 10 coming in, and we need to flip those 2 tables.
Leah's restaurant is fully booked night after night.
Section 3 is still behind.
She no longer has reservations about finally finding a hostess.
Why doesn't 23 have menus? Oh, they're in my hand.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for a way to kick your family's meal up a notch? Then Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has you covered with the 8-piece spicy box at a great price. Experience spicy perfection with 8 pieces of fresh, never frozen classic chicken that's freshly marinated and hand breaded with a kick. Then it's cooked fresh, just right to seal in that famous flavor. This is the best chicken made bold. Satisfy your spicy cravings with the 8-piece spicy box at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
The Western Ohio Home Builders Association and 84 Lumber invite you to the Miami County Home and Garden Show, February 18th through the 20th at Hobart Arena in Troy. If this is your year to renovate your home, you do not want to miss this show. From roofing to flooring and everything in between, including upgrading your outdoor living space. You'll find what you're looking for at the best home and garden show in the northern Miami Valley. For more information, visit MiamiCountyHomeshow.com. Tickets $6. Children under 12 are free. Don't miss it.
WING 1410 Dayton's ESPN Radio.
If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty a call, 937-572-7425. Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, once again, 572-7425. I highly recommend Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. He helped my fiance and I close on our first home, and we are about a month and a half into, really enjoying our first home that we've bought together. And, it's kind of fun. We got all the hard stuff out of the way now. Now we just sit back and wait for it to warm up. By the way, it's freaking beautiful out.
Yeah.
We have my favorite part about this home that Brad helped us get was it has this awesome deck and patio in the back, and I just have not been able to sit out there and enjoy it because we bought a house in January like idiots. So, but today it's beautiful. I cannot wait to get off work to just go, watch. We have YouTube TV, so I can just have my iPad set up outside, smoke some cigars, drink a Gatorade because
hydrate.
Actually, I didn't get drunk last night.
I was going to ask you how bowling went last night.
Actually, I finally got my 200 game. I was looking for. I bowled a 105 last week. I'm not that bad. I'm bad.
I'm that bad.
105. Like I said, the last time I bowled a 105, the last time I bowled like that last week, I had a little happy birthday balloon pinned to the top of the bowling pin that they let me take home because I was like 7. So that's how bad it was. But there you go.
A 105 for me is good game.
I think I had like
that bad.
I had like a 550 something series or whatever. I won a 600 series. I came up short.
Look at you.
I had a 211 my first game, and then I just kept, if it's 9-pin no tap, I'd be the best bowler ever. But is what it is. All right, we welcome you back, and it wouldn't be the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash if Kinner didn't have something negative to say about the Cincinnati Bengals. So here we go. Hear me out. Bengals fans, I think you need to be a little concerned about this comment that was made as far as I'm concerned. Actually, before I get to that, I have some Bills fans come. Alan Brad's on Facebook. Comes at me and says the Bills need to load up onto the defensive side of the ball. They allowed the fewest yards per game of any team since 2010. I know yards aren't the end-all be-all. The defense happened to crumble really bad, but their whole body of work was solid. I think wide receiver number 2. Alan, and see, this is why I appreciate Alan. Bengals fans most of them are a bunch of morons that like to call names and get mad at you if you say something bad about their team. Alan just simply pointed out a couple things that I actually agree with. I got defensive. I was ready to fight. He just simply pointed out. He goes, but they could use an elite pass rusher if they get their hands on one. Alan Brads, shout out to Alan Brads, who used Twitter. He wasn't an annoying Matt Muncy or something like that likes to just call names because they disagree with your sports take. He just simply questioned why I said that because he's like, well, what do you mean they need to get better on the defensive side of the ball? They allowed the fewest yards per game than any team since 2010. So I appreciate that he brings that to my attention. But I think right now where we're at with the Bills and teams like that in the AFC, sometimes you are not drafting for what you need for a long 17 game. Sometimes you're going to get a guy that you're going to need come playoff time.
Right.
And I think that's what I meant by that when it came to the Bills, Brad, is that, or Alan, I'm sorry, is that it's a situation where I think they saw, you're right, they did. They obviously fell up, their defense disappeared in that big game against Kansas City. So you talked about how the Bills gave up the fewest total yards per game since 2010. That's for the regular season going up against, team after team after team, good teams at that. But I think what some of these draft picks are really doing, Kev, is positioning to go after one guy, one team, and that's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. While everyone is doing the recency bias thing, trying to anoint Joe Burrow as the best quarterback in the AFC, not even close. You still need to respect Kansas City. That's the team that everyone's building for. Last year, the Cleveland Browns, there was a lot of talk of, there was a little shock that they went with Greg Newsome after the free agent run that they had, after they went and acquired Hill and they went and got Johnson and they bolstered that. They already had Denzel Ward. Everyone's like, well, they're really loading up on these DBs. They're really loading up on their defensive backs. And, a lot of the strategy was, well, yeah, we're preparing. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in this league, but we're prepping for that one guy that we have to get through Patrick Mahomes. That's why they drafted Newsome. That's why they went and got Hill and Johnson. That's why, that's why Denzel Ward is so important. And I think that's what I mean by some of these teams. It's kind of like in the NBA. Sometimes they're going to grab a guy. You get a Patrick Beverly, not because Beverly's going to make you better over an 82-game stretch, but because you need a Patrick Beverly to guard a LeBron or to guard a KD or to guard one of the better offensive players come to playoffs, right? Like that's kind of the mentality. But Alan Brads, thank you for reaching out and not acting like most Bengals fans who have to call names because you said something about their team that you disagreed with. So shout out to him. You guys, you can learn something from Mr. Alan Brads. Give him a follow on Twitter. Very nice guy.
Oh, man.
I told you how much I love Bills fans. They're very respectful.
I don't think that you were saying that this past summer.
Yeah, I started that one. This guy's cool. So anyways, earlier today with the media, Zac Taylor, by the way, I will say this. Zac Taylor got an extension through 2026, rightfully so. There are coaches. I mean, you look at the fact that Mike McCarthy, who's won a Super Bowl, is still looked at as kind of a joke around NFL circles as far as kind of his philosophy on football. At least it's like the game's passed him by, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So there's that. So that's what I mean by like now he's not looked at in the same light. Like a lot of former head coaches who were dominant back in the 80s and 90s or what have you. They probably wouldn't work today. I don't know how much that success. I think Urban Meyer would have been a better NFL coach 10 years ago than he is today. for a lot of reasons. For one, I mean, hell, he didn't even get fired for football reasons, Kev. He got fired for I don't even want to get into that. But with all of that being said, as we currently sit here right now, Zac Taylor was given an extension to 2026, and rightfully so. You take the Bengals to the Super Bowl, I don't care about the results. And a lot of bad decision-making on his part probably cost him the Super Bowl, but he got him to the Super Bowl, and that's all that matters. Bengals wide, according to ESPN's Ben Baby, who covers the Cincinnati Bengals, Kev, this is kind of an alarming tweet that I know can be looked at in a couple different lights. Bengals coach Zac Taylor, when it comes to the offensive line, had this to say. When he was asked about the importance of improving the offensive line this offseason, Kev, you know what he said?
Do tell.
He said, well, this line was good enough to get us to the Super Bowl. That's a problem. Now, here's what I got back from a lot of people. Well, what's he supposed to say, Justin? Do you think he's just going to say, man, our line sucks? Yes, he needs to. Somebody needs to. Kev, when did the National Football League become soft that we got to worry about hurting people's feelings? The Cincinnati Bengals and Zac Taylor, they care. They are more concerned about hurting the feelings of their horrible offensive linemen than they are about protecting the legs and the physical health of their franchise quarterback. They are, if this is the case, if this is coach speak, because I'm not convinced it's coach speak. This front office has given me zero confidence that they know what they're doing offensive line wise. So I kind of believe him when he says this. But if this is the case, if this is coach speak, that's concerning even then, because a lot of you are like, well, I think it's just coach speak. Well, coach speak is to do what? Coach speak is to prevent bulletin board material from being put up on an opponent's bulletin board heading into a big game. What coach speak is to prevent that. This isn't coach speak. What coach speak is to prevent bulletin board. I think this is more bulletin board material than him just saying, oh yeah, that's going to be a major area of focus in improving our offensive line heading into next season. We got to protect our franchise quarterback. The Kansas City Chiefs last year had no problem saying that, not just through their actions, but that's exactly what they said after the Super Bowl. All right. They went right into that office. Andy Reid was asked about it. Andy Reid came right out, said, we respect the guys that were on the roster that helped get us to this point, but there is no question that we have to improve this offensive line to be able to protect Patrick Mahomes, because we can't do what we need to do if we don't have protection up front. That was the immediate reaction from Andy Reid after last year's Super Bowl. And then what the Chiefs do, they backed it up. They get Orlando Brown. They pay big money for Joe Tooney. They backed it up. So Bengals fans, you don't always have to live and die with everything your team tells you. It's okay to be a little critical and not throw Zac Taylor off the bus here, but you can say, okay, you need to be quiet, coach. All right. Jake Whiting, he's a big Bengals fan. He comes at me all the time. Love Jake. Jake even said, oh, come on, Zach, that wasn't very smart. You should not have said that. And he should not have said that. Now, when you say, what's he supposed to say? What I just said. That is protecting our franchise quarterback is the number one most important thing that we will be focusing on this offseason, and we will go from there. That's what you say. You don't say 70 sacks, quarterback going to be focusing on rehabbing his leg for the second straight offseason. Who cares about that? This offensive line just got us to a Super Bowl. Stop. This Super Bowl is concerning to me because I think it's going to provide a false sense of security as far as self-identity of who they think they are. They're not as good as they are very good, and they have the pieces to be dynasty good. You have Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Kev, they have the pieces to be dynasty good, but they're not dynasty good right now. And that's coming from me, who doesn't like him. I have a huge problem with what Zac Taylor said. And no, I'm not going to allow anybody to try to defend it, because you are wrong. It's not coach speak. Coach speak is to avoid giving bulletin board material to an opponent. Well, as you guys so defended Burrow for vibing it up with Kid Cudi up on the stage an hour after losing a Super Bowl yesterday. All right, the season's over. They're not playing anybody. In fact, they are at war with themselves. Zac Taylor versus the front office. Joe Burrow versus the front office. Joe Burrow versus that offensive line. You don't need to protect the feelings of the offensive line. You don't. The fact that the Zac Taylor, if this is coach speak, the fact that they are more concerned with protecting the little fragile feelings of that fragile offensive line than they are protecting physically their franchise quarterback, I have a problem with that. and it's not just me. Everyone's been eating this up. This isn't Kinner spinning something to fit the narrative of the show, the I Hate the Bengals show. No, it's not a huge deal. I'm not losing sleep over it. I'm not saying you guys should lose sleep over it, but I do think it kind of pulls the curtain back a little bit of how they view this. I don't think that they even realize how big of a concern this actually is, because we thought that they thought it was a huge concern last year, Kevin. Based on their actions, I don't think they really thought that either. So I'm not bashing them as much as you think, but I do need Bengals fans to understand that while you're trying to do the Boy Scouts, the hunky-dory, good old, oh man, he was just saying that because he didn't want to hurt their feelings. Man, forget their feelings. Would you rather have a bad offensive line with self-confidence, or would you rather have a quarterback that can walk? That's the big question you need to ask yourself.
For me, it says two things. One, maybe Coach Taylor doesn't have as much sway in the building as other coaches out there. He's still a young head coach, not only in his age, but time with the franchise. Maybe his voice isn't ringing as loud as obviously Bill Belichick and things of that nature. So maybe his concerns aren't the front office's concerns. The second thing is you got to stay on brand as a person, and he's staying on brand. Now, my coach, Mike Tomlin, several times during the season, they asked him about the offensive line play, and he used the word remedial. That's on brand for Mike Tomlin, to call out players for bad performances, called out Devin Bush for suspect play. He's called out Ben Roethlisberger in the past, a Hall of Fame quarterback, for throwing bonehead interceptions. That is on brand for Mike Tomlin. So I would just want consistency out of my coach. I want my coach to stay on brand. I don't want him flip-flopping like the wind. I don't want him like a fan. I want him to stay consistent and stay on message. And whatever's going on behind the scenes, let that be behind the scenes. So that's where I'm at with it. If I was a Cincinnati Bengal fan, from just looking from like the broad picture of a person that watches way too much football and watches way too many press conferences, that's on brand for him. His brand is him taking it on the chest when something goes wrong and saying, I have to do a better job of putting the players in a position to succeed, and using that type of rhetoric as opposed to saying, yeah, we coaching them up, they just suck. That's kind of like the Mike Tomlin approach, and that's been his approach. So I prefer my coach, whatever way they're going to be, whatever way you're going to be as a coach, pick that lane, stick with that lane, and roll with it to the masses. But behind closed doors, if he really thinks that, that's also a problem. That's where I would have a problem. If he really in his mind thinks like, man, we good, that's where I would have a bigger problem with it.
If they weren't coming off of an offseason where they refused to address it, I would kind of tend to agree with you. But again, you're doing what some Bengals fans are doing. You're going the drastic, well, he's not going to say, man, these guys suck, get them out of here. I didn't say that. You don't have to go that route. I didn't say that you had to throw them under the bus, but you did not have to say what you said right there as far as, we got to the Super Bowl with these guys. Because like I said, that should be a concern as a Bengal fan, that, man, the Super Bowl was great and we were so close to winning the damn thing. And let's be honest, and let me be honest with you. I don't care. Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they brought all 22 starters back from last year's Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. That was a real Super Bowl team. If the Bengals would have won, they were a very good Super Bowl team. That's not an elite Super Bowl team. They were just very good. Because I promise you, Kev, you mean to tell me, actually, you know what? I would have been really curious to see what they would have done even if they would have won. Because Joe Burrow, had he connected on that sack or on that touchdown to Jamar Chase, and they win that Super Bowl, he would have finished the game with 6 sacks, still been sacked 69 times. Nice. He would have been sacked 69 times. Nice. Just one more time. 69 times. Nice. Okay, I'm done. But he would have been sacked 69. No, I'm going to keep it that way. 69 times he would have been sacked if he would have connected on that deep touchdown pass to Jamar Chase if he didn't go down. So that means he would have been sacked one less than 70 and Super Bowl champions. Would they have addressed the offensive line then, or would they have just said, hey, this was good enough to win us a Super Bowl? Sometimes, the reason they were a great story is because of the deficiencies that they were able to overcome. Let's not forget that. pretending that just because you were in the Super Bowl that this team doesn't have deficiencies is kind of silly, and it's kind of embarrassing, actually, especially the issues that they have. If they were really weak at cornerback and won a Super Bowl, okay, yes, there would be some urgency to fix it, but you could obviously get by. We're talking about a deficiency that could cost your franchise quarterback his career or cause him to say, deuces, I'm out. I'm going to go somewhere where I can hang with Kid Cudi every day. That's what it is. But no, again, am I making too much of this? Probably to a certain degree, but at the same time, I don't believe that you can read this and act like it's not a big deal. Doug Toby on Facebook says, it's just coach talk for media. Stop. Coach talk. To you. First of all, you can't guarantee anything. Do you know Zac Taylor? Do you sit in their meeting rooms? Do you know how he operates? Do you know I know
Toby an insider. You ain't know?
Hey. I like Doug, but come on. I guarantee. I love it. I guarantee you. I mean, why weren't you guaranteeing this a year ago when Joe Burrow had a scar from like his big toe all the way up to his belly button from all the reconstruction surgery they had to do on his entire lower body? I mean, my goodness. They didn't get their attention last year. What makes you think that nearly winning a Super Bowl this year is going to get their attention as far as that's concerned? He goes, I guarantee you he's not saying that in his meeting room with Mike Brown and Duke Tobin. Common sense, we will not have 3 of the linemen that we had this year. You are a Bengals fan. You don't get to throw common sense at me. Your team was a great story this year because they were good, but because they overcame so many things that they should not have been where they were at. And it wasn't because the offensive line played well. I love when people say, well, they played well throughout the playoffs. Sacked 19 times in 4 games. I mean, that's insane. You were on pace. If you got sacked 19 times in 4 games, you're on pace to get sacked 80 plus times in a regular season. Like, stop. It's okay to be critical of your own team. I get that the natural thing is to argue with anything Kinner says because Kinner's annoying. Either way, 518-1410. ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz. He joins us next.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy and very windy, a high near 60. Tonight's going to be cloudy and very windy, a low near 50. And tomorrow's going to be cloudy with rain, a high near 55. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
February is Children's Dental Health Month, so make sure you make an appointment for your child to visit an Ohio Dental Association member dentist. ODA member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and have access to superior ongoing education and training. On your next visit, ask if your child's dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association and American Dental Association, so you know you're being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Race to savings on a new Mastercraft door from Menards. Mastercraft makes great doors inside and out. Choose from our great selection of in-stock Mastercraft doors to take home today. Or personalize your door your way with our online or in-store door designer. Menards has the fastest delivery on doors with free shipping to your store in approximately 7 days. Save big on Mastercraft doors during Menards Race to Savings sale. Savings good through February 19th.
Save big money at Menards.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hanging out with you live on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We opened up the first hour breaking down ESPN Todd McShay's second mock draft, technically his first, but the second mock draft of the mock draft season. Mel Kiper released the first one a few weeks ago. We broke that down. Not a whole lot changed. I mean, the Browns going wide receiver, the Bengals going offensive line. It's pretty predictable at that point, but I am still shocked that despite this being one of the weaker quarterback classes, quite a few quarterbacks still, going in this first round. Not as high as we're accustomed to seeing, but even a trade from Todd McShay that included your Pittsburgh Steelers trading up to take Malik Willis out of Liberty. So I know we'll be following that. And what I love about the AFC North and love about the NFL in general is that I do feel like that your conference, the AFC North for Browns and Bengals and Steelers, what the Steelers do is just as big a news to Browns and Bengals fans as what the Bengals and Browns do for Steelers fans, because everything everything is counter. Everything you do, they're going to counter. Everything they do, you want to counter as well. It's going to be fun, at least from that perspective, because, man, the AFC North, I think it could be 1 to 2 games that separate last from first when it's all said and done, depending on who really kicks ass this coming up off season. Excited to bring on our next guest. We haven't even had a chance to talk with him yet about the Cincinnati Bengals going down at the hands of the Rams in Super Bowl 56. He's on line 2, correct? Just to make sure.
Correct.
ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz joining us for the final time this football season. Jason, how are you? Welcome.
I'm great. And look, everything you just said about the draft is why the draft is squarely my favorite sporting event of the year. It's my favorite event to cover for ESPN. Every year, I think, whereas the Super Bowl is 2 teams that can look at it and say, we're at the apex. Like, the draft is that one time where it doesn't matter if you're a Jets fan or if you're a Chiefs fan, you feel like you got the one thing you desperately needed to make your team better. The hope and positivity around the draft is incredible. It's in Vegas this year, and I'm just telling you, like, if you're a fan of football and you have the opportunity to go out there and see the draft, you should do it. It is the wildest party you could possibly imagine. And while there aren't difference makers at quarterback, there's difference makers everywhere else in this draft. So it's going to be a cool draft experience.
Matthew Stafford wins a Super Bowl with the Rams, the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, for Bengals fans, are going to lose sleep for years just imagining Jamar Chase, just picturing him wide open as he beat Jalen Ramsey down that right sideline. And, of course, Aaron Donald gets to Joe Burrow. I don't mean this in a trolling way to Bengals fans, but if they take it that way, so be it. But I just find it very fitting that that's how their season ended, that although they were bragging about being in the Super Bowl despite that horrible offensive line, that when it was all said and done, it was the offensive line that ultimately cost them a Super Bowl because they had a chance. Jamar Chase was wide open. Your thoughts when you look back and see that wide open Jamar Chase streaking up that right sideline?
I think that this is the Super Bowl that will haunt fans for years that watched it on the losing side. I mean, everybody knows I didn't really have a vested interest in this game, but I was rooting for the Bengals to win it. And as I watched the end and the way it unfolded, I think like everybody, we just presumed that's what the Bengals do. They find a way to win this game, right? And so to watch Joe Burrow not be able to do that and watch it be the offensive line was that ironic moment that nobody really wanted, right? Like, it was okay, we knew at some point that would bite you in the butt. I just didn't want it to be on that drive in that way. And, I feel for Bengals fans because it will haunt you. I also feel for Bengals fans because everybody keeps talking about, well, you got to fix the offensive line. It's not like the Bengals haven't been trying for years to fix the offensive line. What do you do if the people in your organization in charge of scouting don't scout a particular position well? And I think that's a reality. We need to start look back at the last several drafts. While they didn't take Penei Sewell, they have drafted offensive linemen several times with high draft picks, and it hasn't worked out. So I just question whether the organization is great at actually analyzing that position. And if the answer is no, Bengals fans are going to be frustrated for a long time.
Jumping to the other quarterback, Matthew Stafford engineers a game-winning drive. Him and Cooper Kupp hook up seems like 10 times on that drive to ultimately get them to score the touchdown that ultimately helps them win the Super Bowl. There's a lot of talk about Matthew Stafford stamping his gold jacket. Now he's a Hall of Famer. Do you think Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Famer based off of this season?
No, and to me, Hall of Famer, like when you talk about a Hall of Fame quarterback, and y'all know this, every fan knows this. You know what it's like when the schedule actually comes out. And what do? We look at the schedule, and there's certain guys who say, oh, man, I don't want to have to play that guy. Like, that's what we all said about Brady, and that's what we say about Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't matter if the rest of the team's any good. You see certain guys, and you're like, man, that's going to be a tough game to. As a Raiders fan, every time I see the schedule open up, and I'm like, all right, when are we taking on Patrick Mahomes? Like, that's the first thing you're thinking of. And Big Ben in his prime, you could look at it and say, oh, I don't want to have to face that guy. There is absolutely no period where anybody was like, oh, we don't stand a chance. We've got Stafford on the schedule. Like, he's a really good quarterback, and he won a Super Bowl on a really good team. I think there's a message of hope for everybody that, like, hey, you can have a guy that's not a Hall of Famer and still win a Super Bowl. That's awesome. But this whole, like, turning it into gold jacket talk, he's nowhere near gold jacket to me, because he is not supposed to be in the same conversation as the Bradys and the Mannings of the world.
What's that Happy Gilmore line? Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives up? Fill in the blank. I mean, that's basically where we are at. Why the Sean McVay chatter regarding, him at 36 years old? I'm 32. Man, it would be cool to retire in 4 years. I mean, there's talks of him potentially retiring. I mean, how real is that? Today's NFL is ever changing, from the offensive and defensive schematical, setups, from the philosophies on coaching and going for it on fourth down and everything. I mean, everything is different now than what it was 10 years ago. But for a 36-year-old head coach who finally gets over that hill and wins the Super Bowl, why now would these rumors be coming out, especially when you still have Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald for possibly a couple more years? Who knows?
I think because your value is never higher than it is today to other people, and you start looking around. I mean, the more money that everybody makes, and that's all concussions and injuries and all of that comes to players stepping away from the game earlier. Part of the reason players step away from the game earlier, and Mike Golick Sr. always talked about this, is like the generational wealth has changed. I mean, you get one massive contract, you may never need to work again if you're good with your money, right? And so if you're McVay, look around and you're like, man, the grind of being a coach is real. He wants to have a family. He's loaded rich. And then you start seeing all these reports of, Amazon willing to offer Al Michaels, whatever, $15 million a year. You're looking around thinking, okay, Aikman makes how much? Like, why would I not want to just work for TV, work, a limited schedule during the fall, be flown out everywhere I want to go first class, live that life, still get paid incredible amounts of money, and just be sort of a caricature of a video game? That's why I was stunned when John Gruden came back, because what was the benefit long term? And I would say McVay is in that category. He makes gross money to do what he does, but if he's put any of it away, he can just be a dad and work, 30, 40 days a year total and make $10 million a year for a broadcast partner. That's a better gig.
Yeah, it's the money in broadcasting that has, for the first time in NFL history, made quarterbacks say, man, I wish I was Tony Romo. I mean, that's how good the money is in this industry right now.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So when you're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, you kind of touched on it before, like everybody think it's a foregone conclusion that, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to draft an offensive lineman. Of course, they're going to spend their money in free agency on offensive linemen. What do you think happens if the Cincinnati Bengals don't do any of that?
If they don't do any of that, then what's going to happen is every talking head in the country is going to say that they're wasting Joe Burrow, and that can raise enough of a sort of a red flag that creates contention and conversation that lasts. Like, I blame the media in part for the way that we've talked about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, because we spent so long yelling about the lack of weapons for a team that consistently seems to be a 1 or a 2 seed in the playoffs. And like, we've created this whole narrative that the Packers wasted Aaron Rodgers. Like that, if the Bengals aren't aggressive with the offensive line, that's what's going to happen. But the other side of it is, like I said earlier, and I think is important here, like, I'll say all day, every day, my wife doesn't like any vegetable. There's not a vegetable my wife likes to eat at all. And like, I try to eat super clean, right? So if I'm coming down to Tennessee and we're going somewhere, like, I go to the grocery store to pick vegetables, because if I ask her to pick out asparagus, she's got no idea what she's looking for. Doesn't even really care. She doesn't like it. She's not going to do a good job of that. So like, I got to go pick it. Like, what happens if you realize that the people behind the scenes with the Bengals aren't really good at picking the right veggies? Like, all of a sudden, you got to realize, okay, who are we going to be? We're going to be a McDonald's family, because we're never going to eat the vegetables she buys. That's where I am with the Bengals and their ability to pick offensive linemen. They have tried. I think, 8 picks in the last 4 or 5 drafts have been offensive linemen. Like, you got to look at it at some point and say, man, your sous chef doesn't know anything about picking good vegetables, so you got to get new people in that restaurant, or you just got to accept the fact that produce is never going to be your strength.
And see, and that's been my big takeaway on this is at this point, if you knew you were drafting Joe Burrow, 2 years ago, which they did, that's when you really you use every bit of draft capital you have to load up that offensive line. And let all this come in. But now you're 2 years into this Joe Burrow experiment. Luckily, you've been to a Super Bowl. Obviously, not the result you want, but you're heading into year 3. Joe Burrow already looks the part that Joe Burrow could be looking at his front office, kicking the tires, saying, hey, I kind of want, with this O-line crap that I've been having to deal with, I would like a deal on paper right now before I have an injury that I'm not able to walk away from. I just think they're past the point of now. When I see these mock drafts, I don't care how many rookie offensive linemen they draft. I still think that's a danger. You're basically just gambling on the future of your franchise quarterback at this point more than they've gambled already. It's a little annoying in my perspective of this because they've had a lot of cap space the last 2 years, and the best they could show for it is Riley Reif, who's not terrible, but they need to use their. You're right, Jason. They're not good at drafting the offensive line, but they've had cap space the last 2 years. In fact, they've spent over $270 million the last 2 years. They have no one to blame but themselves if they don't figure out the offensive line this year, because it's not like they haven't had the resources to do it. They've had plenty of money. They've had plenty of draft capital. That's fine if you're not one of those teams that knows how to draft offensive linemen, but damn it, spend money, go get them. They're out there. They didn't attempt Joe Thuney last year. They gave him a lowball offer. They didn't try for Orlando Brown. Of course, look at what the Chiefs did. The Bengals are frustrating. I don't feel bad for that. I feel bad for Joe Burrow, but I don't feel bad for them when they try crying about, we've tried to draft offensive linemen. Well, go buy the offensive lineman because clearly you don't know how to draft them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And the other thing I'd say is that if you're a Bengals fan and you're looking at Joe Burrow, this is a tough message for Bengals fans to hear, but we got to be real. I think Joe Burrow is sensational, but I also think that there are a group of quarterbacks in the AFC right now that are equally sensational. And maybe there's a little bit of a difference between all of them. But right now, I would look around at Patrick Mahomes. I'd look at Lamar Jackson. I'd look at Justin Herbert. And I'd say that they are all in the same tier of quarterback. Josh Allen, sorry, I don't want to offend Bills fans. I think all of those guys are in the same tier of quarterbacks. So if you're the Bengals, you might, if you want to believe you have the best of all, that's fine. But the rest of your roster is going to have to be very good because there isn't enough of a difference between the best of Joe Burrow and the best of any of those other quarterbacks to suddenly catapult that team above the rest. So now it's not good enough to just have the quarterback. You better have a roster that can compete with the rest of those rosters and a coaching staff that can compete with the rest of those coaching staff. So it's not good enough to just say, we've got a quarterback, we should be in the Super Bowl. You've now got to look at it and say, now that we have our quarterback, can the rest of our roster be better than the Chiefs? Because that's the new line in the sand. There is no longer a great, we can win our division. That's the floor. So the ceiling is, can we be the best team in the AFC? And right now, I would argue that if we were looking on paper, that most people would still believe that top to bottom, there's more talent on the rosters of the Chiefs and the Bills than there are, and God knows what happens with the Titans. And kudos to the Bengals for beating all those teams this year. But if most people had to bet their house on the Bengals versus everybody else versus the field for the next 5 years without fixing that offensive line, you bet your house on that? I don't think so.
I just got a house. I just got a Brad house. By the way, if you're looking to buy or sell your home, call Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. I just bought my house through him, and he'll do a great job for you too. So I will bet my house on that, actually. But last thing on this Bengals O-line thing, because it's exhausting, and we'll move on from it. But so earlier today, debate between me and Bengals fans throughout the day, Jason, Bengals coach Zac Taylor, when he was asked about, the urgency in improving the offensive line, Ben Baby covers the Bengals for ESPN, tweeted this out that when it was brought up to him, his response was, well, that offensive line was good enough to get us to the Super Bowl. And I've been arguing that I think that this Super Bowl, could be semi-bad from the standpoint of it's going to provide a false sense of identity as far as who they are. We talked about last year, the Buccaneers returning all 22 of their starters from that Super Bowl team on both offense and defense, and how great that is. That doesn't happen. Well, if the Bengals returned all 22 starters on offense and defense, I would be very concerned if I'm a Bengals fan next year, because that would mean bringing this OL back. That's what I mean by I'm concerned about the success that they had with this offensive line, because I think it could convince the front office that, we don't need to improve this offensive line. We just, we overcame this deficiency. I don't think they're going to do nothing, but I am worried because this franchise has showed a history of not addressing it or addressing it at a high level. This kind of worries me that the success that they had this year, despite that, could lead them to maybe not take this as serious as what they should.
I mean, that'd be a disaster. That's something Sarah talks about early on in Matt Nagy's career when he was the coach for the Bears. They had enough success that people started doubling down on some things that were problematic. And yes, it didn't get to the Chiefs to the Super Bowl this year, and I understand that. But what did the Chiefs do after they got their butts kicked because their offensive line was trash against Tampa Bay? They went out and they were aggressive. How did the Rams win a Super Bowl? They went out and the Rams were aggressive. And in fact, I think everybody should be looking at the Rams saying, man, what did they do this year? They went out in the season and give Von Miller and Odell Beckham Jr. 2 acquisitions that helped them win a Super Bowl. And I'm looking at that and saying that's part of the template. Like, part of the template is never being satisfied, even when it's a position of strength, to make sure that you're going out and you're getting the best possible players that you can and spending all the way to the cap just to make sure that you've got the best room possible. Remember, there was a moment where the Rams didn't need OBJ in the minds of most of us. Then Woods goes down with an injury. Then OBJ gets them into the Super Bowl, largely helpful in that. And look at the offense without him in the Super Bowl. So, I'm looking at every team saying, why are you not as aggressive as the Chiefs were after last year's Super Bowl loss? And frankly, the Rams were all year this year about saying, we're going to win right now.
You kind of touched on it right there. That was going to be my next question. Do you think other teams are going to go for Rams, basically say we're going for it every single year? We don't care about draft picks. We want established star players on our roster. We'll worry about the future in the future. Do you think other teams are going to do that as opposed to go to the find our quarterback, build around him? We try to win in that first contract of the rookie year?
I think high market pressure places are definitely going to start looking at that. And the problem is we're not going to know how well this strategy works until we get to the other side of it for the Rams, right? So what's going to happen is the Rams got to get through this chapter, see if they win another Super Bowl. Even if they don't, was one Super Bowl worth it if their cupboard suddenly is not restocked? Or can the Rams viably be the Lakers of the NFL? And if that's the case, then, man, everybody in New York and Vegas, LA, you're going to have to look at those places and say, man, we need, in these cities, we need to be competitive at a higher market faster. Yeah. I mean, it changes the way business is done because it worked. And, we can't sit here and look at what the Buccaneers did last year and say, oh, everyone's going to copy that, and not say the same thing about what we're seeing from the Rams right now.
All right, Jason. So if you don't agree with me, you are not allowed on this show again until next football season. This is a safe bet that I have an idea you're not going to agree with me, and we already know you're not coming back on to next football season possibly, so this might work out well. The Bengals lose the Super Bowl. It's devastating. The players should be miserable. They should be so broken up about it. They should just not want to be around people. How do you feel if your team loses a Super Bowl and your quarterback an hour later is up on stage with Kid Cudi? Is that a good look?
This is a tough one because everybody processes it differently. I'm surprised by it. I personally, in that situation, would have a hard time doing that. I can't speak to what it's like to lose a Super Bowl, but I can speak to what it's like to lose stuff that I was nominated for in voting. And for me, like, that moment, it hits hard. I can't imagine as hard as it is for fans. I can't imagine what it's like for a player to lose a Super Bowl and the way you're gutted from that. So it's just a tough look. I mean, that's hard for me. And maybe it speaks to, we can't sit here and credit on the one hand that Joe Burrow is that guy that's unflappable and fine no matter what, and then fault him for it when it happens at the Super Bowl. Maybe it speaks to how even-keeled he is. But I can just tell you that there's no way I could have been out in public after that sort of a moment because it guts you. So, I understand there's some obligations. I would challenge anyone to go back and read the article that Seth Wickersham wrote years ago about being at an after party with Brady after he lost the Super Bowl. And it's eye-opening to see how some people compartmentalize that. So that's hard for me. I personally couldn't have done it.
And you must really like coming on this show. That was as close to anyone agreeing with me on that. But Jason, that does wrap it up for us today. Thank you for joining us each and every week. I mean, I laughed at the beginning of the season. You put out a graphic of all the projects you're involved in, and I'm like, I texted him 2 weeks ago. He said he would come on every week. There's no way this mofo has time to come on with us every week. Look at that. And you made time for us every week. So thank you. That means a ton to us. I know it means a ton to our listeners. And except for you agreeing with me on that last part outside of that. But thank you, Jason. We beyond appreciate it.
I absolutely have loved it all season, and I'm gonna fight you if you guys don't have me on before the draft. So we got lots of draft talk to come. So I can't wait for that. And I'm really happy for you, but I feel bad for your Menchies. I disagreed with you. People are going to destroy both of us.
Well, the good news is Bengals fans, they're very understanding and they don't call names when people disagree with them. So there you go. Jason, thanks so much, man. Take care. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, that was ESPN Radio's Jason Fitz, who was awesome enough to hang out with us each and every week throughout the NFL season.
I thought you were going to say awesome enough to agree with you.
That's a given. But see, here's the deal. This is why Jason's on Real ESPN and I'm here. He knows how to say exactly what I say, but in a less a-hole way. Because that was basically my point. But when I say it, I come across very hateful and very, But, I just like my quarterbacks to not dress like the Hamburglar and at least look like they're upset that they lost the Super Bowl. That's all. I don't think I'm asking for too much.
Oh, Lord.
Just saying. But, hey, when Cam Newton does it, he's the worst. But when Joe Burrow does it, he's a G-O-D. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Refresco, the world's largest independent bottler of beverages, is holding a hiring event this Saturday, February 19th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 300 Industry Drive in Carlisle, Ohio. Offers on the spot and a generous hiring bonus depending on position. Excellent pay, work culture, and benefits. Recently increased wages and an annual performance bonus. Located right off I-75 between Dayton and Cincinnati. Apply today at refresco.com/careers and enter Carlisle in the search field. Don't miss the hiring event this Saturday. Refresco is an equal opportunity employer.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Yes, I'm so sorry about the wait, ma'am. I'll be with you shortly. Carrie, how many appointments did you book at 2:30?
Jen's physical therapy clinic is pretty stretched.
That was some light stretching.
He needs another PT before patients get bent out of shape.
You get fresh ice pack from Miss Davis's knee.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Get your biggest refund guaranteed. Jackson Hewitt Tax Pros will help find thousands worth of new tax credits so you get every dollar you deserve. Learn more at jacksonhewitt.com.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm the girl from that alien movie you watch on demand. Our worlds have been brought together thanks to DirecTV Stream.
Why are you whispering?
Because the alien will hear us.
Maybe let the alien know you can get DirecTV Stream with no annual contract.
He seems pretty excited by that, actually.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at DirecTV.com.
Requires high-speed internet and compatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
My leg was painful, red, and swollen just doing the crossword puzzle. I could have put off telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
He told his doctor and found out his leg pain, swelling, and redness are deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to the lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. If you have one or more of these symptoms, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Here's the deal. I've had constipation with belly pain, discomfort, and bloating for years. I've tried a lot of laxatives and fiber supplements, but my symptoms keep coming back.
You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives. It lets you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2 years old old. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. There could be more to your story with IBS-C. Talk to a doctor today. Say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. Sponsored by AbbVie and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
TrackPhone wants to know, are you an influencer? A big live streamer? No? Then guess what? You don't need an endless data plan. Get just the right amount of data with TrackPhone's $40 unlimited talk and text smartphone plan. Now with 8 gigs of high-speed data and unlimited carryover on America's largest, most dependable network, now with 5G. Get the data you need at the price you want. TrackPhone Wireless. Now you're in control. Available at major retailers. 5G compatible device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at trackphone.com.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Now is the time to experience the Brookhaven difference. Don't miss your chance to live in an active retirement community, make new friends, and enjoy chef-cooked meals. 1 month free when you schedule your tour by February 28th by calling 937-833-4006. At Brookhaven, we have everything you need to live an active, independent lifestyle. Call 833-4006 today. Brookhaven, expect to be impressed.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
As the world gets back on track, now's the time to look forward and make bold, life-changing decisions. If you're ready to complete your college degree or pursue your master's like an MBA, Ohio Dominican University offers a range of innovative programs that match your goals. And with both fully online and on-campus evening formats available, pursuing your degree at ODU also fits your life. Classes are forming now. Get started at ohiodominican.edu. That's ohiodominican.edu.
The Big Hoopla is celebrating their 10th anniversary this year and will hit a milestone 100,000 tickets donated to airmen, their families, and students when combined with Hometown Heroes events in those 10 years. This furthers our region's commitment to supporting our military during the 75th anniversary year of the Air Force. The 2022 NCAA First Four Men's Basketball Tournament, Tuesday, March 15 and Wednesday, March 16 at UD Arena. Get your tickets and donate to be a part of our mission at DaytonHoopla.com. The Meyer Distribution Center in Tip City is hiring for warehouse positions in all units. Includes flexible schedules, best-in-class benefits, starting wages up to $18.60, and $2,000 sign-on bonus. Candidates can apply online at jobs.meyer.com. Keyword search distribution. Location Tip City, or call 937-669-9155. 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. Walk-in interviews are available with on-the-spot job offers. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Call 937-669-9155. Meyer is an equal opportunity employer.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours.
Spilled your milkshake? Quick, the quicker picker upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker. And each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading Ordinary brand. So you can get back to your milkshake.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than your
Bounty, the quicker picker upper.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Water stains on the shower glass. Try rubbing some shaving cream on them.
Tyler's cleaning crew knows every housekeeping trick in the book.
Handling timesheets now.
But they need a proper bookkeeper to keep finances tidy.
New equipment is a business expense, right?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0.9% financing on the 22 Honda Pilot, Honda Passport, and Honda HRV, and as low as 1.9% financing on all other 22 Hondas while supplies last. We can get the Honda you're looking for. We are taking deposits on current scheduled in-build 22 Hondas every day. See me, sales manager Jason High, for all the details. We're located Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I hope to see you soon.
The Dayton Fire Department is hiring and accepting applications beginning January 4th, running through February 20th. If you have a determined attitude and are looking for an exciting job with great pay, superior training, with college credits available after training, excellent benefits, and a rewarding career, then the Dayton Fire Department needs you. Visit joindaytonfire.com for more information today. Minorities especially encouraged to apply. The DFD is an equal opportunity employer. The Dayton Fire Department. Come live the dream.
Don't put it off any longer. You know it's time. Time for a bathroom upgrade by Bath Creations. Bath Creations is a leader in bathroom renovations, providing the very best value in bath and shower remodeling, and proudly made in the USA. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful modern bathroom that's safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save $500 off your purchase right now. Visit Poe Avenue in Dayton or online at mybathcreations.com. And upgrade today.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Jeff Graham.
Trotwood's coach, okay.
Trotwood coach Jefferson County. And I always, I'm supposed to get out there later in the springtime. I'm going to come see him later in the spring. But I used to spend a lot of time when we played together at the Jets in Dayton, Ohio with him. I'm familiar with Bob Evans, as I always tease him. But man, only good food place y'all got out there.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
It's ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash hanging out with you here on a Wednesday. And a couple days removed from the Super Bowl. And how are we feeling? How long does it take as a fan? Like, I don't know, because all my teams never win anything. So I don't know. I can't relate to what it's like on day 3 after. I feel like you could write a song like day 1, day 2. Isn't there a love song like that?
I'm sure there is.
JoJo, what was his name?
No.
Yeah, so back in the day, I mean, when I was like in middle school, it was like, never mind.
Brian McKnight,
JoJo. Who gives a rip? I'm just saying. But there's a song. So, like, I feel like Bengals can fans could write a song about their feelings 3 days after the Super Bowl loss. Bengals fans, stop bragging about. Stop bragging about how many people are at your second place parade compared to the first place parade for the Rams. Like, why does that matter? Even if 0 fans showed up to the Rams parade, who cares? They won a Super Bowl. I don't care if 100 million people show up to the Bengals' second place parade and nobody shows up to the Rams Super Bowl parade. What does that mean?
Nothing.
Like, that is always the argument I get into with UD fans. Like, anytime I try to talk about Wright State in any kind of positive light, the first thing that gets brought up is, yeah, well, no one goes to their games. Okay, that really doesn't, it has nothing to do with anything, really. Like, Wright State has made the NCAA tournaments on years that UD hasn't, while UD puts 13,000 in their place and 5,000 in the nutter. Do you think that because they had 13,000 fans that's, I mean, if anything, with the way you talk about how many fans you put in that arena, you think you would never lose and you think you would be national champions every year based on how you talk. That doesn't matter. It just drives me crazy. I have never understand the obsession with, we have more fans. Super. No pun intended. The team that won the Super Bowl might have less fans at their Super Bowl championship parade, and you're bragging because we had more people come to we finished second place parade. I have no clue. Like, I'm not going to make fun of parades. I'm a fan of a team that had one for 0-16. I really have no room to talk. But as Kev, he did remind me that the Browns technically didn't throw that parade. The moronic fans did. So, actually, I know the guy, Neal, he's the one that hosted that. He's the one that got that started. We had him on the show.
That's what I was going to ask you. I thought you had those guys on the show. What did they say?
They had to get they had to do a petition. They had to get so many signatures.
Did you sign it?
Oh, heck yes. So the Browns were furious about it. The organization was. Some of the players were pissed. It's almost like, hey, if you had control to do something about it, but Hugh Jackson was accepting payments to lose games. Apparently, I don't know. So I just found that media. There was media members pissed about. Remember Tony Grossi? He was ready to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So is what he said. He was going to fight him in a McDonald's. He said that he would fight him in a McDonald's. So I was like, in the Buffalo Wild Wings. He goes, I will fight you in a Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, he just went off. He was fired up about it. But again, I have no clue. Like, it's a weird flex, Bengals fans. We couldn't beat you in the Super Bowl, but at least we have more fans show up to our second place parade. Why? And I need to stop saying Bengals fans because I know it's not all of you. But if you get on social media, to me, my existence is on Twitter and social media. Like, if that's where I'm seeing it and that's what I'm seeing, that's how I envision it. Get over it.
Now, I'll say this. When LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh won their championship in Miami and the Cleveland fans were laughing at them, I was like, well, he got us a ring. But they showed out. Cleveland showed out when the Cavs won their championship. So my recommendation for the Cincinnati Bengals fans, hope your team wins it next season, and then you show them how a real parade is done. Like Cleveland showed Miami how a real parade was done. Like, they shut down the entire downtown. Like, they couldn't drive the buses because there was nowhere to room. Like, when the Heat won, you could do donuts because nobody was out there. So Cleveland showed Miami how a championship parade is done. So Cincinnati, if your team wins it, show LA how it's really done.
Cleveland showed Miami how to do it as champions.
True. That's what I'm saying. Hopefully you can get back and win it.
So you and I had this conversation earlier. Colin Dunlap, I think is his name. He's one of the radio hosts out of Pittsburgh. He is going in on the Bengals. He's no Justin Kinner, but he's going in on the Bengals. He only has millions of Facebook followers, even has the blue little check mark. People actually listen to his show. I mean, but other than that, he's no Justin Kinner. Actually, no, he is no Justin Kinner. I'm just saying. So he is going in on Bengals fans. Call it the loser parade. And I see where that's coming from. I think it's a little harsh. I have no problem with what the Bengals are doing today with the little parade and all that stuff. But why today? On the same day that the Rams are celebrating theirs.
Right.
Yeah. I just think it's a little high schoolish to be throwing this parade. Oh, but they're celebrating a great season. But do NFL teams do that? I'm not saying it's never been done, but I could see why they're getting made fun of a bit. And it's not because I'm a hater. If the Browns were doing this, I would be making fun of them. I think it's strange. You already did the pep rally for them going to the Super Bowl, which I thought was cool. And they kicked ass on that. That was a very cool turnout. A lot of our Dayton listeners went there. They sent videos in. It was really cool. I thought that was pretty neat. But why are you doing another pep rally a week later celebrating a loss? You could say you were celebrating a season, but maybe that's something you let the season breathe a little bit. Or not everyone's Joe Burrow that could just go up on a stage with Kid Cudi an hour after a Super Bowl loss. I mean, some people like it. It's strange. Timing's everything.
Would you have preferred the Cincinnati Bengals send out a tweet and say, "Come meet us at the airport to congratulate us on the season well done," or like one of the Bengals backers clubs said, "Hey, we want to go out to the airport and greet the guys as they come back to Cincinnati and thank them for a great season," as opposed to what they're doing today? Would that have sat better with you?
Well, fans did. They had a hell of a turnout. Like, it was a cool video of the buses coming in, Zac Taylor getting off the bus and waving at the fans and everything. That was a cool embrace. I thought that was neat. The fans were right there waiting for him, cheering him on. It was, high school's a little harsh. It's a college type atmosphere. Like, we see our college teams go through that when they come back from the NCAA tournament or, come at the airport. I like that. So I'm going to defend the Bengals here on this aspect. I think what makes the Bengals a destination for free agency, it makes them different from others. I think because they're youthful, they have a youthful roster. Like, because of that, I still think that that's why fans view them differently than other teams. Like the Rams, you're watching aged veteran players who, this isn't their first time for everything. Like, the Bengals, this is their first playoff win in 30 years. This is the first playoff actually in the lifetime of these players.
Right.
I mean, some of these, the majority of the players on that roster, if not all of them, weren't even alive the last time they won a playoff game. So this is all just new. I kind of like the youthful vibe that this team puts off, and even the fan base puts off. For a fan base that has been ripped for years by me and many others for just how they don't seem to care, it's a bandwagon type fan base. But people get mad when I say that. I have no problem with bandwagon fans. I hate when people get mad at people bandwagoning onto their fan base. I have a problem with that. You should want that. You should want your team to become more popular and more fans to jump on board. In fact, if anything, the Bengals would be disappointed in those of you who are against people becoming bandwagon fans. You want your fan base to grow. You want more people to like your team. You need more of an army to come at what is this, Justin Kinner. You need more people to be on your side in the battle against me and the perception of your franchise. But I think the second place parade is kind of strange. Not a fan of it. I do think you're opening up the door to be made fun of a lot. And it's happening. A lot of people are mocking it. Do you think that the Patriots, if they would have lost that Super Bowl, that they would have returned home to a second place parade, Kev? No. Your Pittsburgh Steelers team definitely wouldn't have done it. I saw Mo Egger kind of fighting off some Bengals fans. Some Bengals fans were pretty, against it too, saying that it's kind of enabling a loser mentality. It's kind of like it's everybody gets a trophy mentality.
I think it has a lot to do with them. They've been down so long. Like, if they do this next year, they go back to the Super Bowl and lose again, I don't think there will be a second place parade, because I think this is a celebration of a season, a celebration of, hey, man, we're back to being a relevant franchise in the NFL. Let's celebrate that. If, like you said, it's new, it's exciting. But once you are that new thing and you eventually don't get it done, then because all that newness simply wears off and nobody cares. Like, kind of like the Andy Dalton years, like they were making it to the playoffs, and then after they weren't winning in the playoffs, making it to the playoffs just wasn't good enough. So nobody was celebrating that. It was all about, all right, man, are we going to get this playoff victory or not? So I'm looking at the roster for the Cincinnati Bengals. You said 31 years since the last playoff victory, right?
Yep.
Let's see. There are one.
There's probably a few there.
Nose tackle Zach Kerr. He's 31 years old, so he was born when they won. Long snapper. He's 37. Punter. He's 35. So, yeah, it's a couple guys.
Damn. What was that?
Wow, Alexa.
Alexa, she's tired of, she's interrupted.
Alexa, what's the weather outside?
In Dayton, it's 60 degrees.
Damn, that's pretty loud.
Cloudy skies. Tonight, you can.
Hey, Alexa, be quiet. We're trying to do a show here. Hey, Alexa, be quiet. Wow, I've never had a woman do what I tell her to do. That was pretty impressive. I kind of dig this Alexa chick over here, to be honest with you. But looking at that roster, like I said, I'm not going to go in on this second place parade. You could think I'm mocking it by calling that, but that's exactly what it is. So here's why. Okay, actually, I do have a problem with it because the timing. Kev, why did I think it's kind of dumb. You planned this rally, if you will, this little pep rally at the same time that the Rams are doing their Super Bowl rally or whatever, their Super Bowl parade. Now, this is Cincinnati. That's all the way in Los Angeles.
Right.
It's not hurting anything, but don't you see how the perception's a little weird? The timing is weird. If they would have done this like maybe in a week or maybe this weekend, hey, let's cap out, despite the fact that we're hurting from that loss, we made so many great memories this year, and this is the starting block for many great years to come. Let's come out instead of hanging our heads after a tough finish. Let's celebrate the great season. Do that on this weekend, Kev. Do it next week. Why do it 3 days after and then do it at the exact same time that the Rams are doing theirs? That's the problem I have with it. It's not that they're doing it. I would still kind of like laugh at it a little bit, but it is. You're celebrating not winning a Super Bowl. That is high schoolish to me. Like, for instance, the state tournament's coming up for boys and girls basketball here in a few weeks. And I promise you, and it's high school, and you should do this. Community support's awesome, but they will celebrate a regional finals appearance. There'll be a big pep rally at the schools and in the communities, as there should be, by the way, high schoolers. I think it is very kid-like to be doing we almost won the Super Bowl parade today. I think it's weird. If the Cowboys did it, I would rip them. If the Browns did it, I would especially rip them, especially after the loser team had an 0-16 parade, which I was adamantly against too. So I'm being consistent here. You guys could take it for what it's worth, but I just, why now? Why now? Again, it started about an hour ago. A lot of fans showed up, and that's great because everyone's like, well, the fans showed up. Of course the fans are going to show up, but you guys are all like, you're all enabling the losing. You guys should be disappointed. You shouldn't be at a Kid Cudi concert on stage and hour after a loss. You shouldn't be filling the streets of Cincinnati celebrating a loss. I don't get it. Buckeye fans, did they throw we almost beat Alabama in the national championship parade? No. Hell, even Ohio State has more of a professional fan base than the Bengals do. Like, if you truly felt that this was the start to something special, that you're going to be back, this parade's not happening. We're going to get them next year. But by doing this type of parade, to me, what it signifies is we got to celebrate, we got to absorb all of this because we don't know if it's going to happen again. And it's not a terrible mindset to have, but at the same time, you're not as confident as what you guys think you are when you come at me about things. Because clearly, if you felt that you'd be back in a year, you'd be planning a Super Bowl parade next year, not we almost won a Super Bowl parade.
Well, they're not.
You could play Kid Cudi in the background. In fact, I could picture it now. Joe Burrow dressed as the Hamburglar. Kid Cudi right next to him. Maybe have Snoop Dogg up there too, and he's kind of hiding, taking a hit of a joint. Actually, will it be legal in Ohio by then? Probably not. It don't matter. He took a hit. I mean, he hit his joint right before going on stage in a state that it's legal, and everyone lost their damn mind. I mean, like, that just
as he should have.
I respect Snoop less. You know why? Because I thought Snoop was this guy that was going to do it, just let everyone see it. And I think the NFL was like, listen, Mofo, you're not going to smoke it on stage. Like, can we at least?
It's the one and only Neal.
Oh, man.
Hey, man.
It is what it is.
Look, for me, the Cincinnati Bengals having this parade ain't a big deal. Like, it's just not. I don't make a big deal out of too much of anything that franchises do because they're not promoting it as we almost won the Super Bowl parade. They're promoting it as, hey, man, we had a great season. Let's celebrate our accomplishment. And furthermore, they're not coordinating with the Rams saying, okay, when are you guys having your Super Bowl parade? Because that's exactly at the same time we're going to do ours. A lot of these dudes don't live in Cincinnati full time. Like, some of these dudes is going to be hopping on the next thing out of there, back to wherever they have their hometown or wherever they live in the off season. So if you're going to do it, you got to get it in and get it over with. So that's my viewpoint on it.
Damon Hahn, shout out to Damon Hahn. He goes, right, if this is actually the new standard, because Joe Burrow said it is, he goes, right, if this is the new standard, then you do not need to celebrate anything less than a Super Bowl championship. You can still be happy and about how the season went. You're in the damn Super Bowl, but we almost won the Super Bowl parade. I am not a fan of, not even in the slightest. And I promise you, if any other team did this, I'd be saying it. I'm not just saying it because it's the Bengals.
You're a killjoy, man.
But it is pretty damn ironic that the one team that does we almost won the Super Bowl parade happens to be there. And listen, I'm like this with everything. Like, and by the way, you could say that, no, this parade, it's not that. It's about celebrating the season. Like, I had a buddy, him and his wife got divorced, so he wanted to have a divorce party. So I said, why are we celebrating you being a bad husband? Your dumbass cheated on her. Like, why are we celebrating you? Like, we're enabling. And my friend, he don't talk to me anymore, which is fine.
That means y'all not friends no more. You know that, right?
No, but it's because I said that. I said, why are we celebrating this again? A divorce party? So we're all going to go to my friend's divorce party so that we could drink and have fun and celebrate that he cheated on his wife and got a divorce. Like, why are we going to celebrate that you're a bad husband? Why are we going to celebrate that you didn't win the Super Bowl? Why are we going to celebrate things that don't make sense? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But Ron Howard says 0-16 parade is pretty pathetic. I agree, Ron. I agree. Only Browns do something stupid like this. I agree. And now, I agree with you. That was embarrassing. Agreeing. The 0-16 parade, but the difference is the Browns didn't put that parade on. Our stupid fan base did. Oh, man. Doug Toby says, we just need to have a party. The NFL said our fans drink the most beer. It's because your team drove them to drink. I'm just saying, come on now. Justin Nichols said, what about the Buffalo Bills in the 90s? What about the Buffalo Bills in the 90s? Did they throw? We almost won the Super Bowl parades. I mean, to be honest, I think it's more of an accomplishment to get to lose 4 straight Super Bowls than it is to lose one. But, now this is really loser talk, trying to justify how many Super Bowls you have to lose in a row before it's justifiable to have a parade. All right, 518-1410. Kev, who we got first?
We got Mark line 2.
Mark, are you at the parade or are you working? What are you doing?
No, Jesse, you should know who this is. From Zia, big UD fan.
Oh, yeah. How are you, buddy? It's been a while.
I know. You changed your phone number. That's the reason I haven't called you for a long time.
Well, damn it. I guess we're going to have to do it again. You keep finding us. I'm just joking. No, we did. We did change it. Yes, it used to be. What the hell did it used to be?
Oh, don't get me.
1410 WING, but now it's 518-1410. It is what it is. But
hey, I got something to tell you. You're not going to believe me saying this. I might be a Browns fan, but the Bengals playing all of us better dress the offensive line in the draft. If they don't, their quarterback's going to look like Chester on Gunsmoke.
Mark, I needed that laugh. I agree with you. Mark, thank you for that.
Man.
Now that's just mean. That's just mean. They're going to address it. They got cap space. They had cap space last year. They're going to do it this year. They have no choice.
Yeah, they have no choice.
They really don't. I didn't think they had a choice last year, and they still did, but they really don't have one this year. Luckily, there's not a shiny toy like Jamar Chase to distract them. It's just get the offensive line. Mark, you have the new number, buddy. Call anytime. But 518-1410, who's up next?
We got Jesse, line 3.
Jesse, how are you, Jesse?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Yo.
How's the parade?
Hey, what's going on? Is this the Kevin Nash show with Justin Kenner?
Yes.
At on 1410 ESPN Radio?
Absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to make
WING for those of you with diaries at home. 1410
sorry,
WING.
I missed the last plug, my bad.
Yeah.
No, I hit the wrong number before, and I had to talk to Rachel about student loans. She don't know nothing about football. But I had to hang up on her. She thought DJ Reader was my major at St. Clair.
This is why I can't leave you on hold, Jesse, because then you get to playing all this material. Because you just.
Well, what do you want me to come in there and sit there and listen to you talk? I already did that on that last 3 hours on the radio.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to say something.
I mean, yes, my name's in the show, and that's what I do. I talk for 3 hours. So if you're going to be passive aggressive in your feelings because I'm poking at your team having we lost the Super Bowl parade. I mean, I get it. I get where you're coming from.
Okay, I haven't even came there yet. What I was going to talk about was the draft. You kind of judged me a little bit there.
Oh, well, sorry. The insults kind of led me in a different direction. But continue.
Okay. Yeah, no, but and I was about to say, normally I want to hate you, Mr. Kenner, but once again, I agree with you on the draft picks. No, we need to do all this in free agency. We need to pick about 4 300-pound 6'4" linemen within rounds 3 to 7, and because size never changes, they can get better. We need to pick up, like a cornerback, maybe one of those guys from Cincinnati in the first round. Just spend that money on the line in free agency. I don't want to start a rookie lineman next year. And same thing you've been saying. See, once again, you thought I was hating on you, yet I'm agreeing with you.
Amazing.
That's amazing. It's but I don't know because the problem is for a good tackle or a good offensive lineman, they're going to have to spend between 50. They have about 50 mil. They're going to have to spend between 15 to 20 mil a year on one guy. Are they going to be able to stomach doing that on an offensive lineman that has never been the philosophy before?
Getting rid of Trey Lanes would help.
No, look, they don't even have to do that to have enough money to be able to address it. I agree with you on that, I agree with you. They need to do that, but it's not that though. It's not that they don't have enough money. It's will they all of a sudden stomach paying an offensive lineman 15 to 20 mil a year? Like that's where I have a hard time buying in. Like Orlando Brown is a free agent. Would they go after him? Would they go? Will they go big, or will they, remain the same? I don't know. Like that's the big question mark I have.
Maybe Mike Brown could put a picture of Joe Burrow's face the last 2 times his knee's been injured in his office and look at those every day, and then maybe he'll spend that money to say, I don't want to see that face again. Let's go pay some money for an offensive lineman.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening with that.
All right.
But, nonetheless.
Yeah, y'all fellas have a good night.
You too, Jesse. Take care. Jesse. 518-1410. Kev, who's up next?
We got Mr. Love, line 4.
Oh, Mr. Love, Mr. Bob Love. We need to get him we need to get him some music coming in. Mr. Bob Love. I'm going to get you a theme song.
Absolutely. And you know what? You've down that parade so much. Now I wish I had a win. I should have went to that I should have went to that second place parade, man. I should have been right. I should have been the guy in the front, waving the Bengal flag. That's what I should have been doing. I think a lot of that, I don't have a problem with it. I think just, if you think about all the young people who just really recently become Bengal fans, they've never seen the Bengals win. They've never seen nothing. So just the fact that they've been able to do anything and get in the Super Bowl, I really don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's, I just take it for what it is. I wouldn't go, but I don't have a problem with it. One thing I do have a problem with, and I will agree with kind of you and Kevin, I heard the comment from Zach, hey, these guys got us to the Super Bowl. And I think the comment is more related to what Kev had to say. That's his MO. He's never he's not Tomlin in them. He's not going to say, hey, these guys suck like I would do. I would say, you know what, other than Jonah, I'm getting rid of all these guys. They all suck. I would say that, but you know what? That ain't the thing to say. And that's not what their locker room is about. And that's why everybody loves him. On the second thought, though, he's thinking that. And you know who else is really thinking it, who has a lot of power on that team? It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow made a comment about a week ago, and he was talking about his quarterback's coach, Dan Pitcher, and he said the thing he really loves about him because he can really go to Pitcher and he can vent. Well, what do you think he's venting about? Hey, these dudes can't block. These guys suck. Don't you think he's venting about that?
That was very like you observe really well. Like that was a good note that you just made. I heard that same one, never really processed that, but thank you for that. I might have to go and pull that to use it. That was a very good clip that you just mentioned there, and I didn't even think of it like that. But you're right, like having someone to go vent to, because I can't yell at these guys on camera because then I'll be the guy that's bashing my teammates. That's a very good observation on your part, Bob. I know you live to get my approval and everything. Just saying.
Absolutely. Because what did Joe Burrow say? You know what? I'm proud of these guys. Well, saying I'm proud of these guys.
Proud of these bums.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not exactly saying these guys are good. I may say, you know what, I'm proud of my kids taking those tests and doing the best they can. Now they sucked and they got C's on them, but I'm proud of these guys. So I think that's just coach speak. Same thing with Zach. And I think Zach Kev, to one of the points you mentioned, how much power does he have? Actually, the Bengals coach has a lot of power. Marvin Lewis had a lot of power. The ones that really run that personnel are Duke Tobin and pretty much the coaching staff. That's why the Bengals get all their coaches involved in a lot of the scouting and seeing what's what, because they pick them. And I'm so tired of the narrative of Mike Brown's run. Mike Brown, that would be like having your great grandfather at 96 years old running your household. He ain't running nothing. I think he was asleep during the Super Bowl.
That's like when we have
that.
That's like when we have. Oh yeah, you did point that out. He looked miserable.
He looked mad to be there. Like, dude, your team is in the Super Bowl. He's just sitting there with his arms crossed. I'm like, don't show him. Show the daughter, because everybody knows she's the one really cutting the
He
checks.
was probably just pissed off about the halftime show. That's what I you know.
Barry Manilow.
He probably said, "Who are these guys?
Who the hell is Snot Dog? I don't even know."
Where
Mary J. Bleach, I don't know.
he was trying to look at a program. Like, you know what? The dude is like 100 years old. I'm sick of people calling it. Well, you know what? Mike Brown is your great grandfather. He ain't running nothing. Katie runs the money. Duke and Zach run the personnel. But you know what? The bottom line is, even if he, you know, like Justin, you would wish he would come out and say, "Hey, you know, we got to get better." I don't care what they say. I see better than I hear. So I don't care what they say. I want to see what they do. Let's see what you do. And I do believe all of the complaining that Joe Burrow venting, that has to be what it's about. Nobody wants to get sacked, 70 times and then getting hit another 200 times. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Mike Brown looked like he was the one getting sacked 70 times over the last 24 weeks. I mean, my goodness.
Mike didn't want to be there, man. It's your great grandfather. When you put him on a plane, Mike said, "I don't want to get on can I watch this on TV?" They said probably be a bad look, man, especially if we won.
You know what? Go back to the AFC Championship game when they presented him the trophy. He was like, "Oh man, I got to go all the way out to LA." Man,
Bob, they should have sent the Bengals' other owner to Los Angeles. Baker Mayfield had nothing to do that day.
Oh, okay. I like that. That was nice.
I'm sorry. That was uncalled for. We were having a good time, making fun of Snot Dog, and I had to bring Baker into it.
There we go. All right, fellas. I'm out, man.
Adios, Bob.
All right, bye.
518-1410. 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. But no. Look, Zac Taylor said nothing. My thing is this: if the Bengals just had a history of addressing needs aggressively and doing it the right way, then Zac Taylor's comment today isn't a big deal. But I just think that it definitely, some Bengals ears perked up like, wait, what the hell did this guy just say? He can't be serious. Your fan base has PTSD and you're sitting here trying to say the right things. Like, I don't know. You're protecting the wrong people's feelings. I think sometimes that O-line needs to be told they suck. I think, during the season, I get why you got to build them up. Joe Burrow has to be nice to him during the season because, man, they don't protect me even when I'm nice to him. Imagine if I wasn't nice to him. So, but now you don't have to be nice to him anymore. All right? Don't be nice to him. Don't, because then you're unable. When you go to the media and say, man, they did a great job for us. They got us to a Super Bowl. Well, that front office is kind of goofy enough to say, well, hey, you hear what Joe B just said? Or Joe Burr or whatever the hell you guys call him? Joe Cuddy. Joe Cuddy's his name from now on, by the way. J Kid. What are you doing over there? Fumble?
Yeah, fumble on the play.
We'll be back. Maybe.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy and very windy, a high near 60. Tonight's going to be cloudy and very windy, a low near 50. And tomorrow's going to be cloudy with rain, a high near 55. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations so you get the product you're looking for. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With thousands of dollars in new tax credits this year, Jackson Hewitt understands there's a lot at stake this tax season. We have 102 reasons to switch to a Jackson Hewitt Tax Pro, like giving you $100 just to switch. So that's 100. Then we'll track down every last tax credit so you get every dollar you deserve. That's 101. Finally, we guarantee you'll get your biggest refund. That's 102. Want to discover 103? Book an appointment at a participating location near you. Offer ends March 6th. Available at participating retail locations for new clients only. Mention this ad when filing. Terms apply. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for details. details.
Ohio has over 920,000 diabetics. If you are a diabetic, take a step in the right direction by having your feet checked routinely by a podiatric physician, the most qualified doctors to care for your feet. Adding a podiatrist to your healthcare team can help you better manage the effects of diabetes on your feet. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
The Big Hoopla is celebrating their 10th anniversary this year and will hit a milestone 100,000 tickets donated to airmen, their families, and students when combined with Hometown Heroes events in those 10 years. This furthers our region's commitment to supporting our military during the 75th anniversary year of the Air Force. The 2022 NCAA First Four Men's Basketball Tournament, Tuesday, March 15 and Wednesday, March 16 at UD Arena. Get your tickets and donate to be a part of our mission at DaytonHoopla.com.
The Western Ohio Home Builders Association and 84 Lumber invite you to the Miami County Home and Garden Show, February 18th through the 20th at Hobart Arena in Troy. If this is your year to renovate your home, you do not want to miss this show. From roofing to flooring and everything in between, including upgrading your outdoor living space, you'll find what you're looking for at the best home and garden show in the northern Miami Valley. For more information, visit MiamiCountyHomeshow.com. Tickets $6. Children under 12 are free. Don't miss it.
Are you ready to dunk a jumbo breast strip with Duran? Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken has teamed up with UD Flyers highest ranked recruit Duran Holmes. And on Sunday, February 20th from 4 to 5, you can stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken in Centerville on the corner of Whip and Far Hills to meet Duran. Yup, you heard me right. Come meet one of your favorite UD Flyers, Duran Holmes, and grab an autograph. The first 100 guests will receive a free prize. That's Sunday, February 20th from 4 to 5. Only at Lee's, famous for buckets.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275. Just 40 minutes from WING.
OHMB 803-342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate. 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
Elise and Carl needed a small business loan fast to order more equipment for their bakery. Elise suggested OnDeck.com, but instead, Carl called
Lone Falcon!
Wait, no.
Look out! That Falcon, healed! Lone Falcon, why?
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. OnDeck, the online lender that makes it easy to apply in minutes and, if approved, get your loan as soon as the same day. With lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $250,000, OnDeck lets you choose the loan that's right for your business. As America's largest online small business lender, OnDeck has funded over $14 billion to businesses like yours, so you can borrow with confidence and get your loan fast. Go to OnDeck.com. Your loan is on deck. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank, a Utah chartered industrial bank, member FDIC. Limited eligibility for same-day funding. OnDeck does not lend in every state. All loans subject to lender approval.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. You guys are getting very defensive about my take about this second place parade, man. Like, there's no need to get defensive about this. Even the most diehard Bengals fans should be like, yeah, this is kind of, I mean, what are we celebrating here? You know, if you apply for a job and don't get it, you go home and say, all right, baby, put your nicest dress on. We're going out. Oh, honey, you got the job? No. All right. I can't wait for this weekend. I'm finally going to propose. And I'm telling my mom and my dad, so when I come home, we could celebrate. And you come home after you propose, and, oh, honey, congratulations, you got engaged. Let's go out and celebrate. Okay, where are we going? Or what are you celebrating? She said no. What? Why? Should we celebrate the fact that you had the guts to ask her? And maybe the next one will say yes. But do we celebrate the fact that you applied for the job and didn't get it, but maybe next time? What are we doing? I don't get it. Why are we celebrating? What are you celebrating? We're celebrating a great year. We're celebrating that we got to the Super Bowl. Well, what was that pep rally thing you did last week? What was that for? Well, that was celebrating us thinking we could win. Today we're celebrating hoping we could win next year. I mean, my God, are we going to do this every month? We can do this every year. What? You're not going to justify it to me. It doesn't make sense to do this. This isn't a Bengals rip. This is any team that does this rip. It's silly. You don't celebrate not accomplishing something. You are the same people defending your team throwing we finished second in the Super Bowl parade are the same people that get mad at, man, I hate living in today's day and age. All these participation trophies, the kids just get ribbons for showing up. Now, if you excuse me, I got to go to this. We almost won the Super Bowl parade. Man, I'm so proud of my team. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. It is what it is. I'm just a hater. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Tim on Facebook says Jason Fitz insight on the Bengals O-line situation was gold. Justin, your Baker's ownership quip was silver. Well, you know, second place. Does that mean I should throw a parade? I think I shall. I don't know. Try and stop me. Mike Haywood says, so should schools not celebrate conference championships? Those are schools, not professional sports. What are we doing? Boys and girls basketball state tournament's going to be here in a few weeks. I am all for communities celebrating the success of high schoolers. Make it fun for high schoolers, not for millionaires who need to use this as a learning experience and maybe not go on stage with Kid Cudi an hour after a loss and start focusing on next year. I mean, my goodness. Zach Noble on Facebook. Didn't the Browns throw? I need to get the hater mic back out. Didn't the Browns throw? And it's not charged up. I put it away. I got in trouble for using it. So you people won. You guys actually reached out to my boss and complained so much that he even said, he goes, maybe we should cut back on the hater mic. And then I repeated what he said back with the hater mic. We don't have the hater mic anymore. Didn't the Browns throw an 0-16 parade? Yes. And that was a loser thing to do too. And why do Bengals fans do this, Kev? If I say something anytime critical about their team, they got to come back with, oh, yeah, well, you have Baker Mayfield as your quarterback. Uh-huh. And is that because I'm a fan of a team with Baker Mayfield, does that make you feel better about the fact that you came in second? What? So, yes, Zach Noble, the Browns did throw an 0-16 parade. Does that mean it's okay to celebrate losing a Super Bowl? Maybe the Browns should throw a parade next week and say, man, we should celebrate not getting to the Super Bowl. What do you want me to say? Nathan Easton says they are celebrating like they are still in youth football. Well, that's not necessary. I can go to a youth football game and find a better offensive line. Josh Maloney says, not a shot at you or your Browns, but I remember when Bud Light put machines on street corners in Cleveland. Well, I mean, at least you got to. I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Great promotion.
I mean, the beer was skunked by the end of the promotion, but I mean, it was still a cool attempt. Is that, to be fair, am I being a homer on that? Is that kind of loserish too, based on my criteria here?
I mean, that was for a promotion for a beer. Like, that's...
Yeah, Josh. No, I'm just joking. But Josh, you have me thinking, I like that promotion, but am I celebrating? But he's right, though. That was done. It was a promotion. It was a cool promotion by Bud Light, but it was kind of a loser mentality for us to celebrate. Finally, we won one. Josh, I'll give you that. That's fair.
I didn't take it that way. I think things like
loser.
this,
You heard it, right?
I didn't think things should be. I think things should be celebrated that haven't been done in a while. Now, like if the Bengals make it back to the Super Bowl and lose again, and they have another one, then I'll be like, well, look, man, you can't be celebrating every time you just make it and lose and everything like that. Like this season with the Browns, now that they had success, everything that went on with the team that wasn't positive or winning, it was seeming like a loss because the new mandate is winning games because you proved that you could win. So now the ante's been upped. So now that you got this winning feeling, you got to keep that winning feeling to keep people satisfied, because if they're not winning games, people ain't going to be satisfied. Therefore, there ain't going to be no parade because people ain't going to want to celebrate that. People want to celebrate this.
So, and by the way, let's not act like this parade would not have happened if they lost the AFC Championship game. I still feel like there would have been some kind of weird parade had they lost the AFC Championship game. And at the end of the day, is this horrible? There are kids with smiling faces at this thing. So it's not the end of the world. It's really not.
Look,
I'm probably making something bigger than what it is. But in all seriousness, if Ohio State, who lost the national championship against Alabama, there was no parade. There was no parade. When they get to the different state, because it's a championship or nothing like that. The Bengals, you have Joe Burrow now, who in his fur coat told everybody that that's the new standard. That they're not going anywhere. Well, I don't think you believe him, because if you actually believed him, you would be like, yeah, this parade's not necessary. We'll get it. We'll go next year when we win the whole thing. But I don't think you are confident you're going to win it all. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just find it odd. Stop celebrating not winning games. That's weird to me. The only time you should be rewarded for not winning games, well, the Bengals are used to being rewarded for not winning games, actually. They got rewarded for not winning when they got Joe Burrow. They got rewarded for not winning when they got Jamar Chase. And now they want to be rewarded for not winning with this little weird parade that they're doing. I don't get it. I don't get it. That they're conditioned to for it. I don't know. 518-1410. Kev, who's up next?
Jerry, line 2.
Jerry! Is this Raiders fan, Jerry?
That's exactly right. What's up, Justin?
Another day in paradise. How are you? I'm sure. Are you at the parade?
No, I'm not in a parade for a losing team, man. Come on.
Well, the Bengals beat you. What was the Raiders parade like when you lost to the Bengals?
Dude, yeah, no, I think it was all of 0 people, man. To be honest, I totally agree with your take on this, by the way, including why. I really think they don't have they're all braggadocious about their season, but I don't think they got a lot of confidence they're going to get back, and I kind of understand why they would feel that way. Let's just take a few things in consideration, shall we? This is a 10-7 football team. They weren't 12-5. They weren't 13-4. They were a 10-7 football team who happened to win a division, Justin, and you know this. Cleveland was a complete mash unit with how many injuries they had. Baltimore made Cleveland look healthy with all the injuries they had. And Pittsburgh, Kev Nash knows this, had a quarterback that was 3 years past his prime. And Cincinnati got through the season pretty unscathed injury-wise. Anybody think that situation is going to be the same next year? Are the Bengals going to be that healthy next year? Is Cleveland going to be that banged up? Is Baltimore going to be banged up? Will Pittsburgh have a quarterback who can throw the ball 10 yards down the field? I think so. And let's also remember this. The Bengals went 10-7 against a last-place schedule, which meant they had the Jags, the Broncos, and help me out here, Houston. That's not going to be the case. Guess what? They get a first-place schedule this year, boys and girls.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yeah, they get a first-place schedule this year, boys and girls, which means they get to play Tennessee, Kansas City, and Buffalo. Now, look, they're going to be a good team. I am not disputing that. But let's not pretend that they're just going to be walking into the playoffs. Heck, they might not even make the playoffs next year. Let's be realistic. Do you guys know that 34 quarterbacks have lost the Super Bowl on their first try? You know how many of those 34 quarterbacks went on to win the Super Bowl after that?
Do tell.
6. 6 out of 34, gentlemen. So the odds aren't really good of that happening for the Bengals. I'm just throwing that out there. So what do you guys say? I mean, am I wrong about the fact that they kind of got lucky with the injuries in their division?
And Jerry, thank you. You bring up a lot of good points. A lot of those factors played a role in the quick turnaround, which, by the way, that is a result of the scheduling model for the NFL. It's supposed to help. Like, this is a result of the NFL scheduling model. At the same time, as much of a hater as I am, I cannot discredit what they did this year. It's not like I really didn't buy the AFC title. I was kind of like, okay, it did take a lot for you to win that, and not so much on your end. You won the AFC North title with losses to the Jets, with losses to the Bears, with needing a field goal late in the game to beat the horrible Jaguars, who have the number 1 overall pick. I didn't buy into the success as much of the regular season, Kev. But when you compound that with 3 straight wins in the playoffs after not winning for 31 years, and still we're an Aaron Donald sack away from winning a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
I know I am a Bengals hater. Or at least that's what you say. I'm a realist, but that's the problem with you people. You guys don't use common sense, so that's where we always butt heads here. Bottom line is no, they deserve to be in the Super Bowl. Any team that can get to a Super Bowl with that offensive line, they did. You know how great you had to be at other aspects of your game to overcome that?
Right.
Because Jerry brought up a lot of good points. And you know, Stump the Schwab, Mr. Jerry, I mean, he was all over it. I give him credit. He brought up a lot of great points. But yes, it took a lot to win I think that they needed more luck to win the AFC North than they needed luck to win in the playoffs. They won in the playoffs. Their defense manhandled teams in the playoffs. Their defense manhandled Matthew Stafford and the Rams. It wasn't easy for them. They had big plays, don't get me wrong. But, Kev, I mean, Hendrickson and those guys, they played their asses off. The Bengals, like, the reason if you hear a lot of resistance in my voice of giving the Bengals credit, I give the Bengals all the credit in the world. What I don't give is this BS storyline of Joe Burrow being the best quarterback in the NFL. Folks, he did not play well. I don't care what you say. There's nothing you're going to say that's going to convince me otherwise. Your pro football focus that you guys absolutely love and live by, because he was the highest graded quarterback in the National Football League this year. You know that he had the 4th worst rated playoff or Super Bowl run of any quarterback, worse than Jared Goff a few years ago. You know that? That came out today. Whatever little grading system they use. Now, I'm going to use it because I'm a hypocrite and I love Pro Football Focus when they give me numbers that tell a narrative that I love. But his efficiency run through, it was the 4th worst amongst any Super Bowl run in history. I'm not saying he's bad, but him getting all the credit is just complete BS because it was that damn defense and the kicker. That is why they were in the Super Bowl. That's it. Joe Burrow didn't make mistakes. That's why he got that's called a game manager. That's called Jared Goff. Congratulations. Joe Burrow is a million times better than Jared Goff. We saw it in the regular season. But either way, at the end of the day, no, I can't agree with Jerry. I think that they won the division and they made the playoff run. They made it to the Super Bowl. They should have won the Super Bowl. Maybe because of the officiating. Okay, fine, I get that. But at the same time, won the Super Bowl. They could have won the officiating at the end. There were some questionable calls, but they had calls go their way too. Yeah. You know, but you can't have 5 straight 3-and-outs and expect to win a Super Bowl, or not 3-and-outs, but you can't, have 5 straight, possessions that end with a punt and win a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. The reason I'm not going to be as forgiving about that is because you have 3 1,000-yard wide receivers. Almost. I mean, Boyd's 800, whatever. 3 1,000-yard wide receivers, a running back with the 3rd most rushing yards in the league, a quarterback that threw for 4,000+ yards and 1 million touchdowns, the most explosive offense, one of the most explosive offenses in the league, and they didn't perform. Well, the offensive line. You had that offensive line all year. You were sacked 70 times. And you still put up those numbers. So I'm not going to let you brag about all the numbers you put up with that crap poor offensive line and then use it as an excuse as to why you couldn't get it done against the Rams. You just weren't that good, and it's okay. You're 2 of Burrow. You're 1 of Chase. You're 5 of 4 of Zac Taylor. It's fine. They're going to be fine. But this second place parade is just ridiculous to me. I actually find the second place parade worse than the 0-16 parade of the Browns, and both are pretty damn bad. Just throwing that out there. But anyways. All right. That wraps it up for us here today. Man, Stephen Springboro is being called out.
Wow. Why?
I keep calling him the poodle.
Oh.
He says, Doug Toby says, is this Poodle Jr. negativity? Are you talking about me or Jerry? And by the way, it's not negativity. Those are facts. I hate that, folks. Why can't you listen to numbers about your team? And why does it have to be labeled as negative? Maybe you guys need to pay attention to those numbers. Then you would stop saying silly things like Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the AFC. He's not. He's not even in the top 3. Maybe not even in the top 5. Baker's going to be healthy next year. Have a good night, folks. Until tomorrow, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, and, of course, Timothy's Bar and Grill on Broad Street. Have a good night.